Also, I know I said I would wait until another day, but actually I'm just continuing in the same day as the last episode. Hi, I might be slightly, majorly into this story. Anyway, welcome to part 4. We are starting off with Zachary's point of view. I'm gonna try to get through it all in one sitting again, because why not? The pleasant aroma hits me long before I cross the threshold. Faint but light and warm, a reminder of what home is. Pa's stern but commending gaze, Ma's tender smiles, the sunlight filtering through the eaves of the morning, and the distinct smell of cinnamon and vanilla as it drifts through the air every time something cooks from the room. The room, our room, Ma and Pa's pride and joy. My sister and I too, eventually, but we ain't allowed there. Not yet. Not until we're taller or older. Not until we've learned how to take care of ourselves and not burn our hands, or reach the cupboards without having to be lifted.
But a little peek wouldn't hurt, yeah?
The floorboards are cold under my feet, more than it usually is. The walls more forbidding than they used to. Farther and farther the room goes. Ma's singing ceases, and Pa...
No, please wait! I'll be good! I'll sleep on time! Don't go!
I can't hear Pa. Not above the raucous clanging and the deafening roar of gunshots, nor the screams replacing the comforting soft melodies. There is only one blinding fear. When my foot slips, the red sea that catches me is bitter and frigid, but the blood that drips in my hand is warm. 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 It ain't my blood. The walls tumble and everything goes quiet. The 25th. It takes a few moments for everything to fall into place, for my eyes to adjust to the relative darkness of the room. Despite the pleasant chill the AC brings, my shirt is clinging tightly to me, and my blanket a tangled mess around my throat. Morning has not even arrived, and yet...
Way too early for this thing, man.
Oh, Zachary. And too long. Too long since I've last woken up drenched in my own sweat, head littered with thoughts that are gone as soon as my eyes open. All too often, only imprints and brief images are left to haunt me for the rest of the day, or until my mind forgets about it. Egad, whichever comes first. Yet, vivid or not, what little I can remember does not matter. Regardless, the desperation sticks, clawing up, pushing, urging me to relive every moment, every sensation, and... There's a twinkle in Ma's eyes when she looks up from her work, flour dusting her nose and cheeks. The scent of freshly baked bread wafts from the oven as soon as Pa opens it, and the homely fragrance of honey fills the room. He reaches up to wipe the small bead of sweat away from his forehead before gesturing for me to come closer the moment he spots me on my little hiding place from behind the door. That's a very long sentence. I expected him to be angry, but his pat on my back when I come within his arm's reach is encouraging enough. We'll have to taste these first before we put it up for sale tomorrow. You up for it, little man? Is it good enough? A knock cuts through the air before I can answer. Sharp, heavy, demanding, familiar. So distantly familiar. Ma ushers me out of the kitchen when Pa moves to answer it. But I know. I know that what waits outside. The taste of blood in my mouth sends an unpleasant churning in my gut. Ma's apron crinkles under my tight grip. Something snaps back into place. My bed remains in utter disarray. The walls still need a new paint job, and the wall clock ticking opposite my bed is unsettling as ever. Ash is right. I should have already replaced that when I had the chance.
You're no longer there, Zachary. Here and there are miles apart. Calm down. Breathe.
The pressure of my own fingers against my temple is a welcoming sensation over the anxiety gripping me. It never really did anything to stave off the headache sure to follow after this before, but it grounds me. A little reminder that I am safe, away from the place I once called home, from Ma and Pa's... The urgency with each rap that follows finally chases away the ghost threatening to hang around. Why anyone thinks it's a good idea to knock at someone else's door this late confuses me. Nana would chase them all away with a broom if she was here. But no matter. It's a welcome break from the thoughts about to make a morbid turn if left festering. It's probably just Ash anyway. Probably for a place to crash. Looking for a place to crash. Wonder of wonders why he's bothering with the courtesy when he's never did so before. Even with that hunch, though, habit compels me to check who it is first through the peephole. Better safe than sorry, they say. Except the person that greets me on the other side ain't him. Unless his hair grew longer overnight, and he started wearing a ponytail, of course, which I highly doubt will happen anytime soon, no matter how funny that looks in my head. I waste no time in opening the latches.
Isabella, it's late.
She lives! Okay, cool. She's alive? She's fine. Okay. Thank you, game. Thank you for confirming that she is in fact alive at the moment. There's something I can't quite pinpoint in her eyes when she looks up. Her face is a pallid shade, shoulders tense, breathing heavy, and an uncontrollable shaking in her hands as she's trying to hold back. Hi, if I didn't know any better.
Hey, Zach. Sorry, I know it's weird for me to show up at this hour, but you were the closest to my office, and...
No, it's perfectly fine. I'm not really working on anything right now. Do you want to come in?
Is it all right? I know you should be sleeping at this hour, but I thought... I'm sorry, I just thought... I have no idea why I went here. My feet just moved on their own after I got out of the office, and... Sorry.
She trails off, her voice lost in the muggy night air. I wait for her to say more, but instead, her only response is a downward shift of her gaze, back to her still trembling hands as if the motion alone is enough of an explanation. A minuscule gesture, easy to miss if one is not paying attention. But for someone who has seen the same expression on the mirror, done the same thing too many times when night terrors are inevitable, it is not.
Hey, don't worry about it. At least you not. Ash just barges in and crashes on the couch whenever he feels like it. I swear that guy is one fine hairline away from being a criminal.
Without waiting for her answer, I step away from the door and saunter over to the kitchenette. For a few good seconds, only the clinking of plates can be heard above the constant tick-tock. Late as it may be for a snack, the familiar motion keeps me occupied, steering my mind away from dangerous thoughts. Isabella's company is not unwelcome either. Whatever her reason for showing up here at such an hour doesn't matter. I'll be damned if I just turn her away, frazzled as she is. The door clicks shut behind her when she finally enters, feet scuffling softly against the tiled floor. In all the years I've known her, she's never once lost her ever upbeat spirit. Yet in this particular moment, as she stands in my doorway, holding her arms close to herself, it's as if I'm looking at someone completely withdrawn from the person I've come to know all these years.
Do you want to drink or eat anything? I haven't restocked my food stash yet, so ingredients may be a bit limited. But I'm sure I can whip something up with what I have here.
Just water will do, please. Thanks, Zach.
What? No additional food requests? That's new. I'll put something together for you anyway. Hey, feel free to make yourself at home.
I like Zach. He's good.
You ain't exactly a new visitor here. Although my room's not at its most presentable right now. Sorry. New freelance gigs and such. Didn't have time to fix things up here lately.
It's okay. I don't mind.
Usually she'd have something more to say about that. A quip, a witty remark to provoke a laughter or two. Nothing from her this time. Only a weak smile before she takes a seat on the couch, and a silence that stretches out until what we've left hanging feels disconcerting. Before everything turns stifling and awkward, I continue talking, if only to keep the dead air at bay. How's one supposed to keep a conversation going when the person you're talking to is like this?
Anyway, gigs. Can you believe this one client we got? Boss had all my scheduled shoots shifted after they caught wind of this couple buying a new property. Man, must be nice to have all the money in the world. The world itself moves for you, huh?
She's curled up on one side of the couch and hugging her knees close when I bring the tray carrying the sandwiches and water she requested. She starts to straighten up as I'm unloading the contents, but pauses as soon as I hold up my hand in a halting gesture.
You're a guest. Didn't I say you're free to make yourself at home? Here's your water. Careful.
The tremor in her hands, though lighter now, still hasn't subsided when she reaches for the glass. I give her a questioning look, but she is quick to revert her eyes, keeping herself occupied by taking small gulps of water. Or maybe she just doesn't want me asking questions. Worrying. This sudden lust for words, this bout of quiet not normally present in our chats. Even the creaking of the old chair when I casually take the seat is a welcoming break. Although the company's familiar, this has gone way past unnerving.
What happened? Overtime at work?
She doesn't answer immediately. Another gulp drains her glass of its remaining contents. One would think it would be enough to help her recover, yet she doesn't lose her taut grip on the glass as she cradles it in her lap. Her eyes take an unfocused gaze when she speaks again.
Yeah. Boss handed me extra work today. After what happened. To Rose.
Rose? Why do I feel like you've mentioned her before? Sorry, I'm better with remembering faces than names.
She was my coworker. That will take some getting used to. I was just talking to her the other day.
Was? Did she resign or something? I think I'm missing a few details here, Bella.
You've never met her. I think I did mention her once, or twice. It doesn't matter. You probably heard her name recently from the news than me.
Something clicks then. A little memory from the night before. The bright red light from the dark room, the strong odor of the stop bath, the television barely audible murmur in the background, and the glimpse of a bloody room. The news is everywhere, even in the morning that follows. I just didn't think its effects will strike someone this close to me.
Oh. Damn. I didn't mean to bring that up.
No, like I said, it'll take some getting used to, but it'll get better. I hope it will. Things might become a little busier for me, though. She left a lot of things unfinished, and I'm one of the few people in the office who knows how she works. Boss thinks the transition will be easier if I handle it.
That explains it. Well, just don't forget you still need rest. Even the most hard-working people I know don't keep hours as late as this. Hell, the subway stopped running hours ago. Crime rate might be lower here than most places, but that doesn't mean you can walk around freely in the middle of the night.
It's just for today.
Still a good thing you dropped by here first. I'm not just about to let you walk out here alone, especially not in the middle of the night. Who knows what else could happen? I'm not saying you should go right now, but I could accompany you home if you...
No! Wait, please!
The vehement tension in her voice makes me pause, and it is this instant that mask she's been keeping up falls apart, if only for a short while. Right then and there, I understood what's hiding behind her unfocused stare from the moment she arrived. Fear. Pure, unadulterated fear. It's disturbing to see such marring her usual upbeat countenance. With a sigh, I cross the small distance separating us and kneel in front of her. She doesn't flinch when I do so. However, the way she appears to make herself smaller against the couch is telling enough.
Bella, this ain't just about your coworker, is it? What is it really about? I'm all ears.
The sound of glass shattering runs through the air. The sound of glass shattering rents through the air as soon as her hold on it loosens. In the span of a few seconds, her breathing grows labored.
I don't know anymore.
She claps her hands over her ears, pressing it tightly against the side of her head. Her voice grows weaker with each word, each plea coming from out of her mouth.
Please don't leave me alone. I don't want to be alone right now. I can't shake it off. Everywhere's not safe and...
All right, Isabella. Look at me.
My hands are firm on her shoulder when I pull her up to look at me. It takes every force of will to ignore the terror in her eyes in favor of taking control of the situation. Too close. Too similar.
Breathe. You're safe here. Inhale, hold, exhale. Stay in the present. I'm here. No one's gonna hurt you. Do you want to talk about it?
The force which she shakes her head is enough reason to drop the topic altogether.
No more. Please. No more. I don't want to remember anymore.
Okay, no more talking. I won't ask anymore. Can I get you anything? Another glass of water? I think I have a tub of that pistachio ice cream you love so much. We're gonna have to clean this mess first. Will you be fine on your own for a little while?
She nods lightly before retreating into herself again. No more words are exchanged after that, and I take that as my cue to start cleaning the shards littering the floor before either of us get hurt. The quiet hum of the AC is a pleasant distraction as I go over the menial task. More so than her ragged draws of breath or my little feeble attempts to tell a quick story or two. But the latter does the trick. And soon enough, she's already drifted off by the time I return with the promised glass of water, her chest rising and falling in a steady rhythm, the strain on her shoulders gone. Frankly, I've never seen her this still. She mumbles something I don't quite catch when I carry her to the empty bed, and hugs herself tighter against the mess of blankets. In spite of the fact that she appears relaxed, The small frown on her face hasn't quite disappeared. Whatever happened to her won't be leaving her anytime soon, but for her sake, I hope it won't stay long with her. There are still questions left to be answered, but the late hour, coupled with the sudden exhaustion, makes my old couch makes my old couch more comfortable bed than it typically is. Darkness immediately welcomes me as soon as my head hits my makeshift pillow. I can only wish the dreams will keep at a distance for now. For both of us. Okay, now we're officially on the 25th. The first few notes, while muffled, are enough to wake me. In the end, it became one of those nights where sleep passes by in a blink of an eye and is plagued with vaguely fuzzy thoughts. I lift a hand to rub away the drowsiness from my eyes, although it does little to relieve the gritty, burning sensation from my eyelids. Okay, just paranoid, making sure audio recording. Outside, the sun has yet to peek over the horizon, but night has already given way to the cool morning light, washing everything in subtle gray hues. At this hour, the entire city remains unstirring. Ordinarily, waking up before my own alarm means abusing the snooze button, twice or thrice just to catch those precious few extra minutes of sleep. But the persistent ringing makes it impossible now.
This better be good.
Groggily, I scramble for the bag sitting at the foot of my bed. Ash! The ringing still hasn't stopped even as I fish the phone out, and Ashton's name flashes brightly on the screen when I turn it on. Must be pretty urgent if he hasn't dropped the call yet.
Took you long enough, Z-Man.
Ashton, it's 6 in the morning. The sun hasn't even risen. Hell, my brain ain't even awake yet.
And hell, Ash is usually not a morning person, right?
Stop calling me Z-Man.
It's 20 past 6, Zach.
You want to talk? Give me back my 5 extra minutes, Ash. I want my sleep.
Hey, don't make fun of me. I can be a more person too if I want to.
Yeah, uh-huh.
What's this all really about? You don't usually make calls around this hour. Is the world ending today?
Sorry about that. Becca rang me up a few minutes ago looking for Isabella. Said she didn't show up in her own apartment last night. We both tried calling, but her phone seems to be off. Do you have any idea where...
I should have known you two would come looking for her first thing in the morning.
Not a laughing matter, Zach. You can't really let your guard down with everything that's happened here recently. You've heard about the Cooper woman from the news. Everyone in the precinct has been restless ever since the incident the other day.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Listen, Ash, about Bella.
I let my voice trail off, unsure how to go about recounting last night. If I should even say anything to him. He might be a close friend, but at the end of the day, whatever's bothering her ain't mine to speak of in the first place. On the bed, Isabella remains as still as when I transferred her the night before. Sometime during her sleep, she pulls up a blanket over herself, tucked into it comfortably. Like this, it's easy to forget the horror in her eyes, or how much her hands and lips trembled. Save for a firm grip on the edges of the covers, she appears nearly as normal as she would any other day. Almost.
I'm not really sure how to go about this while being...
Zach, what about her?
Something. The worry, the concern, must have surfaced in my tone because his own shifts then. Carefully, as if he's preparing for the worst.
Look, you don't have to worry about her. She's with me right now. Since last night, in fact.
Oh, why didn't you just say so earlier?
She kinda knocked in the middle of the night. I couldn't possibly wake you two over that. And with how things are when she arrived, I thought it'd be best if I let her rest first. I just wasn't expecting people would be looking for her before the rooster even crows.
You could have at least called her something. Becca's beside herself with worry when she found out. You know how much she frets about the smallest stuff.
I know. I'm sorry. That was a lapse on my part. And I just didn't think... Okay, you know what? Rebecca's worries ain't completely baseless. Isabella hasn't been her usual self since the movie. Maybe even before that. I don't know if I should be opening my mouth about this, but Bella didn't outright say I shouldn't, so...
So something's wrong then?
I'm not quite sure, to be completely honest. I couldn't get the story out of her.
Really? I thought you'd learned something from me by now.
That's not it. Ash, when she appeared at my doorstep last night, she was shaking, and when I tried to ask her about it, she just panicked. Had this frightened look on her face. I'd be surprised if this was the first time I've seen it, but it ain't. Dude, the first time, she was screaming.
First time? When was this? You weren't talking about the thing in the movie house, are you? Because that was just us fooling around. Granted, I think I went overboard with the joke, but...
No, it happened the day after. When she invited us to lunch, you weren't there. We were walking 1 second, and then the next, she's crying out. I'll be straight with you. That scared me shitless.
It bothered him, if the way he falls silent after his telling. But whatever his opinion is stays absent from his voice when he speaks again. He's always been good at that, hiding what he thinks.
Did she say anything else?
Nothing. Won't tell me anything aside from a few vague words. I didn't want to push it.
Where is she? Is she still sleeping?
Right here with me, still sleeping. Should I wake her up or something? Let her know you guys are looking for her?
No need. Let her rest. I'll drop by in a few.
Today? Don't you have work at this time? I mean, I can drop her off home myself before meeting my client later.
Look who's talking.
My schedule's flexible, Ash. Last time I checked, you're the one who didn't have that luxury. How on earth do you think I'm able to tag along when you need me?
It's not completely out of the way.
They live on the other side of the town from you, Ash. Your definition of out of the way is a little screwed up, you know.
It's fine. I have some things I need to do anyway. I'll call you back. I've got to let Becca know that Scared Cat's fine. Bye.
He drops the call before I can even get a word in, and for several minutes after, I find myself simply listening as the rest of Luxburn rouses. The increasing sound of passing traffic, the bustle of the nearby shops preparing for the day, and the growing clamor of the people while they go about their morning. Not the most soothing sounds to hear following a troubled night, but the routine puts me at ease nevertheless. What's comforting, what's safe, what I'm used to. Nearby, Isabella shifts but doesn't wake, blissfully unaware as the city slowly stirs itself back to life. Was her night as restless as the one I had? Were her dreams as lucid? In hushed moments like this, I envy her. Unreasonable, probably a little unfair, to say such in light of last night. If only forgetting is as easy as breathing. A small yawn escapes me when I rise from the couch to stretch. Luckily, the short conversation with Ash has effectively driven away any will to go back to bed. I still have a day to get through despite the proverbial ghost hanging around. The orange bottle sitting at the edge of my table is reassuring against my palm the instant I pick it up. The sterile odor of the capsule is equally so. Yet the weight they carry is something I've never gotten used to. Years ago, I'd spend minutes, heck, even hours staring at a single pill prior to taking one. Now it's just routine, a way to stave off the unwanted nightly visits. Although I don't think Dr. Navarro will be quite pleased if he ever finds out I'm relying on them again. I do owe him a visit regardless, especially after missing our appointments on purpose and ignoring his calls for weeks. Another sigh comes out, tired and weary, and then I pop the tablet into my mouth.
Zach? What time is it?
The bottle in my hand hits the table with more force than necessary. As much as I trust my friends, there's some things I'd rather keep to myself.
Morning, Bella. Did you sleep well?
She answers the question with a long, drawn-out yawn, one reminiscent of a child. A chuckle manages to come out of my mouth at the sight. In this manner, it's easy to mistake her for someone too young for responsibilities. Inexperienced and immature, even. Easy to forget she was thrust into the role of an adult earlier than her own dreams can afford, to overlook how surprisingly observant she can be at times. Maybe not on the same level Ash exercises for his investigations, or Rebecca needs for her own work, but it's certainly enough to deftly put what she sees around her on her canvas. And if the way her eyes flickers to the table of my hand says something, it is that I won't be able to avoid the questions this time.
Only a little. I don't remember how I ended up on the bed, though.
Casper.
My doing. You didn't look very comfortable sleeping on the couch, all hunched up like that.
It would have been enough for something temporary. Sorry I stole your bed.
Hey, it doesn't matter. Besides, what kind of gentleman would I be if I leave a lady sleeping in such uncomfortable conditions? Not in this house. My nana will give me a tough scolding if I ever did that, I'm telling you.
Thanks a lot, Zach. I know I barged in at a very inconvenient time last night. I wasn't really thinking when I did, and...
Hey, it's cool, Bella. I ain't mad at you. That's what friends do. You guys are welcome here anytime. Although Ashton abuses the anytime part a lot, I don't really mind. We might have less wiggle room if all four of us are present, considering the size of this place. But as long as no one makes anything explode, it's totally fine.
Fine or not, I still owe you one for last night's trouble, especially since you don't seem to be...
A concerned expression passes over her features as she spares another curious glance over the table, back to the bottle, holding every small piece of what keeps the bad memories at bay. The blood blooming over Pa's heart, the horrified look on Ma's face as she watches him fall lifeless to the ground, and every ounce of spite seeping from the stranger's smile. You don't belong here. You monkeys don't belong here. It never stops, doesn't it?
Well, you don't seem to be feeling well. Let me know, okay? I'll make it up to you somehow.
She makes a slight gesture with her head towards the bottle, asking a question without really asking. Subtlety has never been one of her greatest assets, but right now, even Ash would have been a little amazed, if not at a loss for words at that. She never left it up to me She has left it up to me whether I'll ever give her the response she wants to hear or not. A little clever coming from her, if anyone would ask me. Okay, let's look at relationships. Fascinating! Well, like, because I assumed that these little tiny doodads... Wait, hang on. It carries over! Fascinating. Okay. Alright. So because I've already done both of those, their relationship things are already up, and I'm assuming I can get even more. I mean, I guess I should have guessed that, but... Let's try the truth. Plus sign. Yep. But it's never easy, ain't it? Talking about my own problems, that is. It will never be, not by a long shot. Not when I've let it stay this way for so long. I realized that long ago, when the wounds are still fresh and the dreams are a nightly occurrence. Can't force yourself to get better or move on to do better things. It's what's normal now, and I can only cope. The question in her eyes may be unwarranted, born simply out of curiosity and sincere concern for a friend. I don't owe her an explanation, in fact. But of all the people I keep close in my life, she's probably one of the very few who perhaps I can trust with this. Maybe she won't understand entirely. I can never hope she will. No, never to the full extent. That alone is expecting too much of her, and giving too much of what I can. However, for all of her shortcomings, I know she'll hear me out. And that is all I can ask of her.
My bad. I was kinda hoping you wouldn't have seen me with these.
The pills rattle lightly against the container when I gently set it back to its usual place. Always the small area closest to my laptop, near the right hand, within reach whenever, and a quiet reminder of what I shouldn't miss every day.
What? Oh, is it bad? I was just thinking that maybe it's a cold like Becca's. Do you need me to get anything from the store? Soup or something? There's one nearby, right? I can run real quick and...
No, nothing of that sort. I'm perfectly healthy right now. It's really difficult to say, but can you promise me you'll listen at least?
What is this about, Zach?
I should have been upfront with you about this a long time ago. Well, Ashton found out without me telling him anything. But you already know how that guy is. Can't hide anything from him.
If it's something you're having trouble saying, you don't have to force yourself to tell me. I'll forget I ever saw anything and won't ask questions. Promise.
No, I need to get this off my chest eventually. Besides, we're already here. Might as well finish what I started, yeah?
If you say so.
She takes a seat on the couch, her posture easy and open, and her smile honest. As if this is just a simple talk between two friends on a regular day. It is far from one, but her unreserved air is enough to stamp down the twinge of unease that threatens to come up.
Let's hear it then.
And she does. True to her words, she listens while the story spills out of my mouth, of my ma and pa, and that old little diner across the pond, and what it left in me that day. I can't recall most of it now, my own account jagged with a few missing details here and there. The passing years have eroded most of my recollection of the whole incident. All except for that one moment in the kitchen. The ringing of gunshots are as vivid as it sounded that day. Even Moss' hysterical screams the moment Pa's body hits the floor, motionless, his lifeblood flowing out from under him. And the gunman. He was smiling. He was smiling when Pa opened the door to welcome him. He was smiling when he put a bullet to Pa's chest and Ma's head. I've heard stories of how the world can be a cruel place for people like us before. I never believed until that moment.
Nan and Gran took us right after that. Sis and I flew straight to New Jersey as soon as they heard the news. A few days after, Ma and Pa were laid to rest. And we have a new home a continent away. I didn't even get the chance to take my favorite pillow with me. They said something about the change of environment will be good for us. They had no idea the different kind of ghosts would follow me here.
I expected questions, mostly those brimming with childlike curiosity, and maybe some that are a little too hard to answer. But to her credit, she just sat there, lent her ears, and looked at me with no expectations or unnecessary judgment in her eyes. She appears wiser and older like this, easier to see the breadwinner in her. Her younger siblings are lucky to have her. When I'm done, after everything's been said, she wraps her arms around me. A bit awkward considering the gap in our heights, but it gets her sentiment across. But it's difficult to answer this in kind. If I am even supposed to reciprocate the gesture, given my earlier apprehension. She pulls away shortly with a smile on her face. Not the reaction I braced myself for, but it is obviously better than what I had imagined.
Are you not gonna say anything?
Am I supposed to say anything after? Like, apologize or something? I don't think that's very appropriate, but if you want to hear one, I can think of something real quick.
Not really. Other people have something to say after usually. And they're not necessarily nice either.
Oh, okay then. I won't. I can't think of something anyway. Sorry, I'm not very good with this. Who else knows, by the way?
My older sister, grandparents, and just Ash and you for now. Maybe I think I should tell Rebecca too, but...
But not right now?
Yeah, not right now. When I'm ready. Like today.
I'm sure she'll be willing to hear you out once you do.
I don't doubt she will. I'm more afraid of how she'll react after. One step at a time, yeah? Whew. Surprisingly, it feels good to get that one out my chest. I was a little afraid you'd be angrier. I didn't tell you earlier than today.
I'm not angry. I'm just surprised. You didn't look like it. I wouldn't have suspected. I suppose that's how it often is, isn't it? We all have our... what's the word Becca uses? Inner demons?
That's 2 words.
But this is something personal to you. I understand why you'd rather have a few people know.
That too. Well, these past few weeks haven't been easy for you. I didn't want to add that. Not after last night.
Something passes in her face. Brief, fleeting, and disappears right before I can recognize what it is.
You okay?
Yep, no worries. I'll be fine. Look, about last night... Never mind. This isn't a good time. But don't lose sleep over this, alright? What's important is you got what you want to say out. And if you need me, I'll be here.
I should be relieved. Her words are more than reassuring to my ears. There should be comfort in hearing those alone, and knowing that I have another person to rely on if things ever go bad. But somehow, I find myself worrying more for her instead. I'll make another attempt to get the story out of her if I can. But this is a dance I know all too well, and with her, I doubt forcing her to say something would yield any results. As much as I want to imitate Ash, there's only so much I can ask that won't result in something a little over-disastrous. At best, she'll stop talking to me until a week passes. At worst, I'd rather not risk it. I've never seen her angry. Outright annoyed, maybe, and often directed at Ash, but never furious. What do they say again about happiest people when angered? Besides, it'd be unfair to her after our little chat.
So, food then?
She seems relieved at the brisk change of subject, and as if it had been simply waiting for its cue all this time, her stomach rumbles at the mention of food. Rather loudly, as a matter of fact.
Alrighty, Missy. We're going to get some chow now. Better be quick, though. Can't have your stomach starting a revolution on us here.
Don't make fun of me. I'm not that hungry. Maybe a little. I didn't think I'd end up skipping dinner last night.
And now we have one starved stomach protesting. Sorry, it'll be nothing fancy, since I'm a little low on stocks. I should probably drop by the grocery store after the meeting this afternoon.
I can make a quick run for you if you want.
Nah, I've got enough to put together something nice here. Maybe. I could always improvise if we're missing an ingredient or two. It ain't like we're going for a Michelin 3-star status here. Also, didn't I say you're a guest? Is this a Filipino thing? Or just Rebecca rubbing off on you?
The soft laughter that comes from her doesn't quite reach her eyes. Neither. The answer is neither. Because if she stays idle, she'll remember.
On second thought, I might need a little help slicing up the potatoes while I prep the ham. You up for that?
What? Do you think instant noodles are all I'm about?
Yes.
I'll have you know I can cook a mean paella with my eyes closed. All my siblings love it.
Sure you can. Come on. I think I know what we'll do with those spare ingredients.
Despite the massive effort to keep the mood light with small chatter, cooking ends up being mostly a quiet affair. Between us, the constant clapping of the knife against the board and the muffled noise from the television I left running, words have become surprisingly difficult to string together. Not entirely unusual. We've had moments like this before, but definitely unnerving with how things are now. I really wish someone else would come knocking at the door. As pleasant as this is, breaking the ice or keeping a conversation going has never been my forte. It has always been Isabella's or Rebecca's department. Sometimes Ash's, although mostly coming from his border on awkward or embarrassing. Speaking of the guy, he never did call back, and I'm willing to bet my entire yearly salary that he fell right back to sleep after that call.
Sorry, Bella. Could you...
Yep, I got it. The potatoes are almost ready, by the way. I turned down the heat just in case. You might want to check on them, though.
So, betting your yearly salary, eh?
Hold on! I'll be right there! Sheesh, wait up! If you keep rapping at the door like that, you'll break it down! Ash!
Oh, good. You're awake.
Ash has already welcomed himself in when I take my eyes away from the oven. He's never really been keen with the notion of courtesies after he's warmed up to you, this guy. All 13 of our locks, he he broke 13 logs? What the shit? All 13 of my logs he broke can attest to that. He's a good fellow, though. Maybe a tad bit standoffish at first glance, but he's trustworthy.
Don't you have work today?
I could ask the same of you. Hey, Z-Man.
You're late. Something came up? You need to drop the Z-Man. It's getting old.
Sorry, I got caught up with something at the precinct on the way here. Had to attend to that first before things got out of hand. I'd tell you about it, but you know how it can be with those kinds of things. Later, maybe.
And you're here because...
What? I'm not allowed to say hello?
I doubt you're here because of that. And you're not answering my question.
Ah, my bad. Forgot to mention that. He called earlier looking for you. Rebecca's worried because you didn't come home last night.
You could have called my cell instead.
You weren't picking up. Anyway, I'd really hate to cut this little get-together short, but I need to be somewhere else. Come on, Isabella, let's get you home. I'll drop you off on the way.
Wait, we're going now?
He lightly claps a hand on her arm and begins ushering her out of the apartment, throwing a casual wave at me as they pass. Isabella, on the other hand, doesn't appear too fond of the idea. And sure enough, before they can even cross the threshold, she puts a firm foot down, the force alone enough to halt them both and catch the taller man off guard. It would have made for a funny picture. The way Ash almost crashes into her, and Isabella giving him an indignant pout over her shoulder. Surprising confusion are in his face all at once, two things that rarely ever grace it if he can help it. A rare moment even for our small group. If only I had my camera with me. Dang.
What is it?
Zach cooked something.
If it's just food, I'll get you something on the way back.
But the food! It's Zach's cooking! Real delicious food that actually tastes like food. At least stay and have a bite, please. Zach, help me here!
These two. Whenever they're in the same room, sometimes it feels like herding a group of unruly kids instead of talking to two mature adults. One moment they're engaged in pleasant chit-chat, and the next they're bickering over a minor issue. Frankly, if I didn't know any better, and I have an overactive imagination, I'd say there's something going on. Never mind how utterly impossible that idea is. Or it might just be me reading too much into these things like always. I can already hear Ash's laughter if I so much as suggest such. This, however... Oh no! Oh, am I gonna... Oh no! I'm gonna get minus points in either Ashton or Isabella. I can afford it more with Isabella.
It's okay. I know you're busy.
Oh no! No, that minus them both! That minus them... What? Okay. Okay, game.
I don't know about you two, but I think you guys should really stay. I've already made enough food for all of us, and it'd be a waste.
I thought for sure. Whatever.
Why, I cooked up that special honey-glazed ham you two keep on yapping about. Got some scalloped potatoes with onions and cheddar to go with it, too.
I want potatoes. The oven timer dings. I shoot the two of them an apologetic look before sauntering over the kitchen, mittens in hand. The sweet smell of the glaze and the salty tang of melted cheese wafts through the air as soon as I open the door and take out the two trays inside. The scent immediately fills the entire room, and even with the door and the windows open, the mouth-watering aroma lingers. It's appealing enough that when I put the dishes down on the counter, another starved stomach protests loudly, followed by a burst of laughter. My head snaps up at the two of them, and I can't help back the smile at the sight they make. Or I can't keep back the smile. Reading comprehension. Isabella is clinging to the doorframe for support, doubled over with breathless laughter. Ash is the more composed of the two, trying to look unconcerned, but a flush has crept over his neck and cheeks. It's clear whose stomach that came from, and Isabella's not going to let him live this down.
You're in no place to reject an offer of free food, Frey.
I wasn't rejecting anything. Damn it, I just missed a meal, that's all.
Aw, he's flustered.
Shut it! Those guys at the precinct said it was urgent. Somebody has to be responsible for it.
Well, aren't you precious?
Right. You know, if you keep laughing like that, you'll burst.
I'm sure it won't be as bad as your stomach suddenly rumbling like a starved.
Aye, kiddos, play nice. Food's gonna get cold if we keep this up. Ash, you gonna stay?
Might as well, since Scaredy Cat's so hell-bent on staying.
Yeah. We eventually settle down after the food has been served, the jibes replaced by another round of friendly chatter, mostly about what's on the news from the night before. There is, however, a conscious effort to avoid mentioning what's currently on the headlines. The dead is never a good topic over food and polite company, this case in particular. The wounds are too fresh, too soon. I'd likely avoid it as well if I were in her position, and someone I personally knew passed away in a gruesome manner like that. Though perhaps the closest we got to broaching the topic is when the infamous mansion is brought up again. But even then, we are careful, Ash and I. We keep the entire conversation light and avoid bringing up her late business partner. It's the least we could do.
The Wrights? Yeah, they're planning to move in soon. In fact, they already have a housewarming party planned. It's why they wanted us to rush the papers. They wanted to send the invitations out as soon as possible.
Oh, now I get it.
Get what?
Remember what I told you last night about the new clients?
Vaguely? Sorry, I was a little out of it yesterday. Was it the photo shoot?
Yep, it's actually for the one you sold. Something. When you put it that way, I suppose it makes sense why my boss wants me to prioritize the couple.
Notice how Isabella's plates is like the highest packed, and I love it. I love her.
They can have those documents rushed at just a snap of their fingers. Then they're more influential than I initially thought. Man, I guess my boss is expecting a lot more from this project than I expected. Hope I can live up to it.
Of course you can. Zach, you're amazing.
Your photographs are more than good enough, Zach. You'd probably win an international award if you let yourself. Ma'am Hana's easy to please, too. As long as you're good at following instructions.
Easier said than done. Different clients have different tastes, after all.
Still, a week? I don't think that's possible.
Now that you mentioned it, yeah. They wanted everything finished at the earliest. To be honest, it's not unheard of, but...
But it's still weird. Still weird, yeah?
A slip of the tongue. Still barely noticeable to someone who's already familiar with Ash's ways, yet in this moment it's impossible to miss. I shoot him a curious glance, but he ignores it. Rather pointedly.
I can't exactly say it's like that, where I'm just the middleman after all. As much as I want to comment on it, I only know what's on the surface, not the in and outs. It's just that BRC and my boss are more hands-on with the legal stuff this time, despite having a separate department dedicated to it.
Maybe Mr. Wright helped with it too. They have their own legal team for this, don't they?
Well, they should have one. Especially for a big property like this.
They have, but like I said, it's off our hands. Rose and I don't handle this stuff in the office. If anything, to me, this just means I'll be able to send the rest of the funds to Papa's treatment earlier.
I guess that makes a whole lot of sense. Officially off our instant noodle diet, aren't we?
Ash, has anyone ever told you that you have an uncanny way of ruining the mood?
What? I was just saying. A few more months of stuffing your face with those, and I'm sure you'll start to look like a noodle cup. That's a pretty picture.
At least I don't live off convenience store food. Or make poor, unassuming pressure cookers explode.
I haven't done that, but it is not impossible with my skill set at cooking.
What? How did you... Oh, come on, Zach.
Sorry, it just came up while we were cooking earlier.
I'm impressed, Ashton Frey. You even made it to the news.
Ooh!
A one-time thing. And it wasn't as big as you seem to be imagining.
Oh, sure. Let's all pretend that one time you almost set my apartment on fire didn't happen too.
Hey, that was an accident.
You were making a salad, Ash.
Oh no, that's me! I've burned water before!
Can we please move on to a different topic?
It helps. The casual talk, the harmless teasing, the mundane stories interesting enough to let the time pass unnoticed. By the time lunch ends, it should be breakfast, the shadows are no longer at the forefront of my mind. If it's the same for Isabella, for whatever troubles her, I can never tell. These things, the anxiety, the fear, they aren't easily seen. Ain't easily forgotten after all.
You go on ahead. I've got a few things I need to ask Zach. I'll be downstairs in a minute.
Confusion briefly flashes in her eyes as she catches the keys he tosses over, but he doesn't give her an answer and waits for her to go on.
How sure are you I won't be driving away with your Shirley?
You don't even have a license. Do you even know how to?
Papa taught me how. I'm probably a better driver than you. See you later, Zach. Thanks for the food.
Always has to have the last word, don't you?
You're welcome. I'll send you the recipe for the potatoes tonight.
I want potatoes now. A grin is back on her face when she leaves and closes the door behind her. For a little while after we're left alone, Ash goes wholly quiet, listening, waiting for her remaining footsteps in the hall to fade. The earlier amusement is gone from his face, replaced by what can only be described as trepidation. I know that look all too well. When he's like this, he's expecting shit about to go down at some point soon.
That wasn't very nice, Ash. What was that with Isabella earlier? You're usually subtler with your questions.
They hired you.
Hired me who? Don't change the subject yet. What's really going on here?
The Wrights. Luke and Hannah Wright. You said your next gig is with them.
Is that what this is all about?
Just be careful around them. You have no idea what you're dealing with when it comes to that couple.
So... I wish I could just indignantly say, why don't you just tell us, but... confidentiality.
I'd rather you stay as far away from them as possible, but you're already here. Isabella's their real estate agent. Seriously, of all the people in Luxburn.
Okay. I guess I'll just have to take your word for it.
He nods, claps a comforting hand on my back, and turns to leave without another word. He's never been good with those. More often he fumbles with what he wants to say, but his actions alone are enough to tell me how grateful he is for the trust. He reaches for the knob as soon as he gets to the door, but doesn't turn it. Instead, he looks back and gestures with his hand towards the table. I don't need to follow his line of sight to know what he's talking about. He's likely taken notice of it the moment he entered the room.
You back on those? I haven't seen you taking them in a year.
Yeah, I kinda had to. It got worse after the film fest. The dreams, that is. I don't think I'll be doing that again anytime soon.
Heard about that. Don't drop it, though. You don't want Becca scolding you. She actually enjoyed the movie you made, and she's hard to please. Consider that a small victory.
You don't have to tell me. She already did. Rebecca and Bella both gave me an earful after I said the opposite. Promised them I wouldn't, but you can never tell. Hopefully, once I feel better, I'll be able to think about it properly. Speaking of Bella, she didn't open up to me, but maybe with you and Rebecca.
Yeah, I'll try. I can't promise anything, but I'll talk to her.
Thanks. That's all I'm asking.
This time, when he reaches for the door, he lets it close fully behind him without glancing back. A mild draft sweeps into the room as I close the door behind him, slightly disturbing the papers on the nearby fridge. A lone note flutters by my feet, the letters on the surface glaring at me with mute intensity. Ermengarde Mansion, H. Wright, 11 a.m. After Ashton's warnings, they all hold a different meaning now. Okay, so this is now after the photo shoot, but before the next 2 days rush by in a blur, altogether leaving a collective mess of work suddenly piling up in new, unexpected acquaintances. Or friends? Depends on how you look at it, really. Either way, I'm stuck developing these photos at 3 a.m. in the morning to reach a deadline set by an over-eager art director. Don't get me wrong, Julius is good, has a vision, and knows what he wants, but damn, he can be too enthusiastic sometimes.
Doesn't matter when you couldn't sleep anyway.
There's nothing new in it, of course. After years of working as a freelance photographer, it's simply something I've grown used to. Get to know people, build a client base, do good work, and cash in some late hours if need be. Rinse and repeat. It certainly takes a while to get some footing onto the field, but it's the kind of thing that pays off in the long run, as long as you keep at it. Given enough time, you might end up with big names on your client list. Names like the Wrights, in particular. I never did pay much attention to them, but it's virtually impossible not to hear about them when a local news channel or paper has something to say on their name. A party here, an acquisition there. Sometimes it's a new business venture, other times it's the everyday gossip that typically follows popular people like them. Not in a million years did I ever imagine that I would end up working for such a high-profile couple. And between that and the fuss that comes with, it leaves me no time to ponder over whatever happened to Isabella or why Ash is so adamant we keep away from the pair.
They do seem like the good folk, though, despite the whole fame thing.
Sure, there was a rumor running around years ago about him being involved in some business scandal, but just like every gossip blown out of proportion by the media, nothing came of it, and eventually it simply died down. Much is definitely left to be said for the husband, but I doubt a woman like Miss Wright would pick him if he didn't have any good points at all. Miss Wright, Hannah, herself, though. She ain't particularly bad the way press makes her out to be. The tabloids have it all wrong, that's for sure. For someone born with a silver spoon in her mouth, well, she ain't exactly what I was expecting. Among the other things, the newfound friendship is what I least expected from her, but here we are. Although, with a life as public as the Wrights, no wonder it's the woman who often gets the crappy end of the stick. I can't help but feel sorry for her. She's a real nice person when given the chance. Heck, she might have ended up being friends with Rebecca and Isabella too, if they weren't living worlds apart. About that, actually. Probably. The beep quickly pulls me back before my thoughts travel any further. In one practice motion, I carefully place the wet print I'm holding onto a drying rack and amble over my makeshift darkroom to get the last photos from the water bath. Inside the converted broom closet, the film processor lets out another soft clack before it goes on its standby mode. No, I can already tell what this is gonna be. As its mouth, a lone photograph sits on the tray, barely visible with the lack of light. It's the last one for tonight, for the set Miss Wright requested. I don't usually make this a habit, giving away stuff, that is. It's bad for the business, no matter how well-intentioned or generous you are. This exception, however, she did treat me well and was a pleasant companion all throughout the shoot. Even if she didn't ask, I would have probably given her a few prints just for the hell of it. Miss Wright ain't such a bad subject matter to begin with. And maybe this is just me, but for someone who has everything in the palm of her hands, all the money in the world, a loving husband, and plenty big mansion to call home, she's lonely. She doesn't just appear like it. It shows in the tone of her voice, how she moves, and most certainly in her smiles. Always hidden behind the glamour for the world to never see. Sometimes for people like her, small things like these help. A little reminder that the world can be kind, too. Water drips from the paper as I blindly pick it up and gently laid it on another tray, holding a decent amount of photo flow. A few seconds under the solution is all it needs before it's ready for drying. No good rushing this last one, even if my body's already screaming for some decent snooze. My hands fumble over the light switch, moving towards it with familiarity, while I fish for a squeegee among the mess of tools on a drawer with the other. The bulb flickers twice before its glow settles and casts a soft light in the tiny space. When I glance back down, squeegee in hand, ready to finish the process and finally call it a night.
What on earth?
Yep. Her head is gone. Blurred and distorted beyond recognition, rather. The area completely smudged over, leaving no trace of the same sweet smile the good woman carried in all the previous prints.
Damn, that was too careless.
A common mistake to make, of course, if one is negligent enough to pick up a newly processed photo in the dark, like I apparently did. It has happened before. Loads of times, actually. But I still can't help but feel a small pang of frustration over one mistake a newbie likely would make. With a sigh, I reach for the switch again, intending to develop a new one from scratch.
It could pass off for one of those supernatural pictures they show on TV, though.
A memory clicks. One cursory thought in the sea of many, and a short yet distinct second from the day before. A glimpse is all I got, but it's enough to burn the image in my mind. There was a shadow. No. A woman. In her 20s or early 30s, maybe? But with how far gone her flesh had always been... But with how far gone her flesh alone has become, it's not possible to tell at first glance. The skin itself had already taken a sickly pale color, rotten in most parts, blood dripping from every open gash and lesion on her body. Bony hands gripped Miss Wright's neck like a noose, staining the skin underneath with a vibrant shade of scarlet. Nothing but malice fills the gleam in her eyes.
Zachary?
Not for me, but for Miss Wright.
Zach, is something the matter?
Oh, no, there's nothing wrong. I just remembered something, that's all. Let's get back to the pictures. Can you move a bit more to the left, yeah?
The memory alone is enough to make me retch. I brushed it off then. A trick of the eye, I told myself, or a product of the heat. The weather has been unexpectedly warm recently, so it shouldn't be too surprising for such things to happen. And, well, blaming this on the usual fatigue, an overworked brain, the weather, or an amateur error on my part is far more convenient. It makes a whole lot of sense than what the small voice inside my head whispers. The same tiny voice that only makes itself known when something's afoul. The same one that lent a curious ear to Isabella's worries about the mansion. And with each second I spend staring at this photograph, the murmurs in my head only grow louder against my ears. Someone has to know. Ooh. Shit. I don't think this is a relationship choice thing. I think it's a story one. Shit. I like choices where it's relationship ones easier because then I can just reload and whatever, but since this is likely a story one... Oh, wait, no, that's not what I wanted. I wanted that button. At least I'm hoping it's a story one and not a relationship one. Because, like, part of me really wants to go... Like, okay, not part. A lot of me wants to go with Ash. but I don't know, if the choice leads to having, like, relationship points, wouldn't it be better to go with Hannah since she has the lower relationship? Ah, fuck it, I can worry about all that shit later when I actually follow a guy. Let's do Ash. Ash will give me flack for this, he will. I can already hear what he's gonna say about this the moment I bring it up. Hell, before he even sees anything, I'll wager. This guy's a skeptic through and through, and it'll take more than my account for him to even consider this. But when you've been there, seen something enough to raise the hairs on the back of your neck and leave you wanting to flee or hide, what he thinks is the least of my concerns. I am no hero. That's a title best reserved for someone else. Still, if this will help change his mind, it's worth a try. Isabella's gone and done the same thing, didn't she? Outside, the sun has yet to rise. I've still got a few hours before dawn. Good enough to mull over how I'll go about this with him. Plenty of space to check if I'll get the same result if I redo the process again. The phone processor hums back to life at my touch. The light switch gives out a soft click, and darkness embraces the small closet again.
Somehow those urban legends don't sound so silly now.
Sometimes, I wish Ash would make himself easier to find. 24 messages, 13 phone calls, and 1 visit to his flat later, I still have no idea which rock in Luxburn he went off to hide under again. This guy has his own place, but refuses to stay in it. He has his own phone, but doesn't answer any of his calls or gives any indication when he's gotten my messages. Most of the time, he'll just show up on my front door. Sometimes in the middle of the night, complaining how uncomfortable it is to sleep at the back of his Shirley, his car. As if the old couch my flout is any better. Nothing new from him, though. But a bit frustrating, really. There's the police precinct, of course. Then again, he's not there most of the time either. And if that's also true for today, he's likely out on another stakeout. There's nothing much for me to do but to wait to see if that's the case.
Let's just hope I'm lucky enough today.
While Luxborn is a relatively peaceful city boasting a low crime rate, its precinct stays abuzz with activity. As soon as I open the glass front doors, murmurs coming from the people waiting in the lobby welcome me. Officers can occasionally be seen shuffling in and out of the rooms, greeting civilians with a casual smile and a polite nod. Sometimes, though, I'll look a little worse for wear, like the receptionist, who looked at me with much disdain the moment I arrived. What the fuck? Thankfully, I won't have to deal with him today. Before I can even step in, Ashton's voice, though low, comes from the hallway adjacent to the lobby.
Not even for just 1 minute?
No. The case was dismissed, remember?
You were the one handling that case.
If you want access to those records, you've got to ask Chief. I was taken off it before shit went to hell. Why do you even bother? Even Professor Clark seems to have given up on that.
Well, never mind, you won't understand.
Right. I know you owe Professor Clark a lot, but the right guy isn't just someone you mess with.
Okay, hang on. So, did Wright screw over Clark?
They've got the money. Who knows what else gets swept under the rug with them involved?
That takes a special kind of ignorant not to know.
So is that why he's, like, so adamant against them, is because they, like, did something against Clark?
And a smart person to know which boundaries he can't cross. You're a bright guy, you'll figure it out. In any case, I've got to get going. Another missing person case on my hand. Benjamin on the front desk looks like he's about to maul someone after the 4th one yesterday. Murders, people missing, what a time to be alive. Man, I miss the old Luxburn.
You and me both. I'll see ya. Gonna go grab some lunch.
He notices me first, as soon as he enters the lobby and pauses. Confusion briefly crosses his face until I fish out the phone from my pocket and wave it up. Frowning, he pulls out his own mobile out, wordlessly fiddling with it for a few seconds before sighing heavily. There ain't any annoyance in him when he glances up, though. Only mild exasperation and what might be a hint of amusement.
Stop taking pointers from Isabella. This is gonna get old soon.
At least use your phone properly.
It's an alarm clock, a good note-taking device, a halfway decent camera, and maybe a music player too. If I'm being nice. What else do I need it for?
I don't know, keeping in contact maybe?
When he merely shrugs, I know I've struck a chord. He's far from holding a piece of technology in contempt, of course. Ash has always been nothing but practical from the start, and technology is useful. Only, when he gets too focused on one thing like a case he's handling, he tends to forget that there are other things around him. A little reminder and a nudge in the right direction can get him a long way.
I've got an email on that social media site the girls roped us into joining.
That doesn't make any sense. Also, you've got an account before any of us had one.
For policing purposes? Anyway, why are you here? I thought you have something scheduled today. Or was that yesterday?
That was yesterday. Look, about that. There's something I want you to see.
He stops with the tap on my shoulder, walks past me straight to the door, and gestures with his head towards their very irked receptionist when I raise an eyebrow in question.
Over lunch. I haven't eaten anything since last night, and Benjamin there doesn't really like loiterers around here.
Wordlessly, I follow after him, but not after sending the poor guy behind the table an apologetic smile. As expected, he takes a seat in the farthest corner of the cafe, a good way from the window, but easily allows a view of who comes and goes. Secluded enough not to be disturbed by the lunch hour rush or be overheard by a curious bystander. If I didn't know that this is lunch he invited me to, I would automatically assume I got dragged into another stakeout. After years of knowing him, though, this has simply become one of those many habits that he has that I've gotten used to. Food arrives minutes later. I'm afraid I don't recognize the character in the latte art. But that dessert looks really good and I want it. A slice of their vegetarian quiche for me. Meanwhile, Ashton has opted for a cup of coffee plus a gracious serving of...
You having cake for lunch?
Fuck yeah. He shrugs and proceeds to dig in without even a hint of remorse. Ah. Damn. Computer, why? Frankly, it's like seeing a child get his Christmas present early.
Don't tell Becca. I'll get an earful. It's just for today.
You should listen to her, though. The kind of work you do, you'll need to eat something other than sweets.
What are you, Elle?
I don't want to see you drop dead in front of my apartment again.
I told you, just this once. Have you been hanging out with Becca lately? You're beginning to sound like her.
Nah, just for some recipes. But she has the right to worry, you know? It's like she's taking care of two kids. One bitches on sweets, while the other on cup noodles. At least Bella knows how to cook.
Hey, I can at least boil something. Wait, that's easy, right? I mean, you just put water in and...
No, don't even think about it. You destroyed your own kitchen once by sticking a pressure cooker on it. I think my sister is a whole lot better than you. And this is coming from someone who has no other choice but to eat her cooking for some time.
To be fair, he genuinely appears offended at the last remark. Hate will be too strong of a word to describe how Sis and him usually interact whenever they're in the same room. What is with you, computer? I'm not left-clicking. Though whatever appropriate word it is, I can say with most certainty that the feeling's mutual for both. Ash thinks she nags too much, while Sis thinks he's a trouble magnet I should stay away from. They're both technically correct on their assessments.
How's your sister, by the way? Still bullying white guys?
What should I say?
You do know she's married to one now.
Okay, I figured like the whole tossing it back in his face would be negative.
I hope she doesn't end up poisoning him with her cooking.
Pot calling the kettle black?
She can't be better than me.
Actually, she is now. They're planning to start a restaurant sometime in the future.
I was bedridden for days after eating some of the stuff she whipped up. And now you're letting her cook for other people?
Don't exaggerate. It was just for one day, and you're the one who refused to leave your apartment. You should come by, though. Sis gave birth a few days ago. Girl, I've only seen the pictures. But I might visit sometime after everything's settled down. Too many backlogs to go through for now.
No way in hell. She'll just find something to criticize again. Last time, it was Shirley.
He makes a show of being utterly mortified, though I'm quite sure he doesn't mean any of that. He might not say it straight out, but I'm pretty sure he's enjoying the small visits whenever he can. Something about it reminds him of his own family, sort of like making up for the one he never got back after his parents separated. Sore spot, that one topic. One thing he never never ever brings up in any conversation, if he can help it. And I've never seen the need to be nosy. There are some wounds you're just not meant to open. And for the both of us, the sentiment goes the same way.
As if you ain't already on a shit list. You're just afraid of her.
In your dreams. But I'll think about it. Can't just drop this thing at the moment.
His change in tone is subtle, but his aggravation over the matter hangs completely palpable in the air.
Still no closer?
The opposite, actually. There's been some slip-ups here and there. Careless mistakes, and let's just say I'm waiting for him to make another one. What about you? How are things on your end?
All piled up on top of the other. But I can manage. Still recovering from the expenses for the movie, so the surge in new projects helps. And well, there's this one thing.
The expression on his face grows more puzzled with each photo I spread on the table. There's about 8 of them, all of its reprints of the same thing, Mrs. Wright's distorted head on the photos. He takes a minute to go through each, eyeing the prints warily. The fur in his brow doesn't even ease as he gathers all of it into one pile and sets them in one neat stack in front of me with a heavy sigh.
Hana Wright?
Yeah. How did you...
The locket. She never takes it off. Evan's family heirloom.
I won't even think about asking why or how he knows that. If he's investigating them, he's likely already dug up every unimaginable dirt on them, including the family history.
Are you done with your work with them?
Yesterday, yeah. It's just a small feature for a magazine. Interviews, photos, standard stuff, nothing big. But see, here's the thing. I don't know how else to put this out there without sounding crazy, but there really is something odd with that place. Remember the letter?
He drags in a breath, reaches up his nose and pinches it, like the action alone will help grant him all the patience of the world to continue this conversation.
Please tell me this isn't about that again.
I'm sorry. Just... They weren't kidding when he said he was a fucking skeptic of all skeptics. Dude, like... I can see why people would brush off with just one person having issues, but But her colleague, who was also working on this same thing, died with the words, "Help me," written in blood on the wall, the same as what was on the letter. And now he presents you with photos of a fucked up face talking about the mansion. Like, come on, dude.
No, Ash, you've got to listen this time.
I am listening, and I can't believe that just came out of your mouth.
I can't believe you!
These are some blurred out photos, and that letter is just a stupid prank. I expected this from Isabella, not you. You're the photographer here. I don't see any need to get worked up over this.
I know what you mean, but will you hear me out first?
Ash leans back on his seat and doesn't say anything further. He gestures for me to continue with a wave of his hand, impatience clearly on his face. I can't wait for his point of view then when he gets confronted with this. Fuck! Any other person telling him this, and he'll walk out without batting an eye. I suppose the only reason he's giving me the benefit of the doubt is because we know each other.
Ash, I don't easily buy into these things as much as you do. Yesterday, though, behind Hana.
He blinks at that, his eyebrows lifting momentarily before settling into a deep frown.
Hana? Since when were you on a first-name basis with the right missus?
Why does that even matter?
I thought you said this was just a gig.
His voice stays level, but the accusation in it is clear as day. It hits a nerve in me somehow, more than that tone usually does. I do get where he's coming from, but... Okay. Patience can be a tough thing to summon at times. But we didn't get this far as friends if we let our own tempers be the lord of us.
Bro, it's really just another freelance work.
He eyes me skeptically, the same stare he reserves for people he interrogates. I've been on the receiving end of it before, early in our friendship. Years later, he's already got the unimpressed police look pat down.
And there's nothing
Like
going
that
on with
day.
me and Miss Hana. She was just being friendly. Insisted I call her by her first name. That's all.
I wasn't implying any of that. You're not that sort of guy.
I know, but let's just get that out of the way. The just-in-case elephant in the room scenario, aight? She's a married woman, Jesus!
Not with the image she presents in public.
No, but trust me, she ain't any of the things the tabloid writes about her.
Like I read any of those.
I know you don't, but keep it in mind, will you?
Will do. Though I can't promise you'll get off scot-free if she's involved. Man, with how you're acting, it feels like I'm doing a solid for your girlfriend.
Cut that out, will you? And I'm not asking you to. Besides, what's currently going on here is more important.
Alright, lay it in.
Recounting everything takes the better half of our lunch, but he manages to listen through the entire thing without a snide comment. A feat in itself, actually. At the end, Ash merely nods, takes out his phone, and excuses himself. Off to a far corner of the cafe for some privacy, if you can even afford to have in such a place as public as this. Computer, I am not left clicking, thank you. He returns in a little while and hands me a small card.
I can't stop you if you're willing to believe in this crap. Give this guy a call. You're better off talking to him than me. He's at the public library now if you want to catch him there. He used to be my professor back in the university.
Oh, no, I don't think that's...
Go on. I already gave him a heads up. You know I can't help you out, man.
He's so frustrating. He gives my arm a tap and walks off, mumbling about checking back how things are at the precinct. I don't see his face when he leaves, but I know this is his own little way of helping out despite what he doesn't voice out. Of all the places it never crosses my mind I'll end up wandering into the public library today, considering I rarely ever visited. Somehow, there's always been this kind of disconnect between me and books in general. Sure, some of them hold my attention in my youth during the brief times of day I was left on my own with nothing to do. I went through the whole of Grant's collection, as a matter of fact. Read all of them twice, or thrice even. But they never did hold it for long. Most of them never even sticked. Especially after I learned it's simply easier to do things myself if I want to learn stuff. This ain't in the plan in the first place. But after Ashley went through the trouble to contact the professor, I just can't ignore it. Nothing but quiet greets me inside, though. Not the typical mum one would associate with a library, but one akin to hush prior to an impending trouble. Or perhaps I'm just overthinking again? I really like to think I'm just thinking too much about this, that this is just the lack of sleep talking. Regardless, apart from the group of students murmuring in a corner somewhere, the place is free of its usual visitors. All while my footsteps echo in a manner unsettling enough to raise the hairs at the back of my neck. Much to my relief, it does not take me long to find him, being the only occupant in this side of the room. Professor Andrew Clark. I've never personally met the man, but Ash has spoken highly of him several times. In fact, he's Ash's go-to guy when something's troubling him with the case. My steps are unsure as I approach. At any rate, he greets me with a warm smile like a grandson he hasn't seen in a long time.
Ashton's friend, I take it. Zachary. You'll have to forgive this old man if I don't get your name right.
Oh, no, you got it. It's Zach. Zachary Steele, Professor Clark.
He gestures at the empty seat across the table while he returns to his books. The next couple of minutes passes in relative silence as he continues to read and take notes from the pile he's accumulated on the table. Maybe I should have taken a book first before heading here? But before I can even get far into the idea, the professor clicks the book shut and sets it atop the stack next to him.
Ashton told me you were hoping to get answers from me. Although I'm not quite sure what I could share, I'll do my best to help.
Of course, there are a lot of things I want to ask. How do we get out of this mess is the first among hundreds of concerns in my head. But in the presence of someone I barely know, the thoughts won't easily form. He is nothing but patient, however, and with enough time to mull over, a question finally forms.
Do you believe in the paranormal, Professor?
It's supernatural, actually. Don't worry. It's a common mistake to make, but they really are two different things. The other one deals with what we can't explain at the moment, while the other are things we may not have an explanation to. Here.
He places a couple of papers in front of me, the very same one he was writing on earlier. A study of Luxburn's supernatural culture, in a nutshell.
A friend of mine wrote that a few years ago. He took interest in the city after reading about the stories. I have to agree with him here. Even stories dealing with things you don't see with the naked eye can be rife with culture, and this city thrives on it. Just ask the locals.
Like ghosts, for example.
Among other things. The interpretation has changed over the years, though. Various religions, for example, have their own version. It might not always be a spirit now. It could be a memory, or an imprint, an echo, so to speak. Some are born from curses, even, out of great anger, hatred, or pain. There was this one story. Ah, here it is.
Another book is put out from the stack and placed open atop the papers, while he speaks in such a passion that it makes me wonder if some part of him believes these to be true. It is interesting, though, even if I'm not personally a fan of such stories. And soon hours pass without my notice.
In the end, it asked for something to be sacrificed in order to destroy whatever anchors the wraith. A sad tale, that one, but the simplest grudge can bring the ugliest, even in the kindest person, with some people none the wiser. Oh, I'm sorry, I just went on.
Nah, it's good. Are you familiar with the Ermengarde Mansion, though?
Of course, that goes without saying. Who hasn't heard of the local legend? In fact, you aren't the first one to ask me about that recently.
Because, she went to him.
Although, word of the mouth is, someone has already bought it.
Ah, yeah. The right couple. It was a close friend who handled that sale.
So I heard. Well, don't think the house being bought by anyone would stop us from talking about it. What is it about the mansion, then?
I just want to ask what you think of it, sir.
We're going to need more than an afternoon for that, young man. You see, it's the kind that has changed over the years, passed down from one person to the next. Sometimes, it's the Lord William who haunts the place. There are versions where it's the lady of the house. But my favorite, a personal favorite, would have to be the ones that followed after the disappearance of the kind daughter.
Well, what about these, then?
There is a moment of hesitation on my part before I pull out Mrs. Wright's photos and lay them all in front of him. Unlike Ash, though, the professor inspects each print with great interest. That gives me some hope, at least.
When were these taken?
Just the other day. Do you think those are the same?
Perhaps. Perhaps not. There were certainly instances when the film would pick up what the human eyes weren't able to see. But then, it could also have been human error.
I didn't edit it in any way. You have my word on that, Professor. They all just came out like that.
Then, if it is what you're thinking, I strongly advise against doing something reckless and further tangling with them. Accounts about them may be riveting to you, but most of it often ends in an unpleasant manner.
What about those people in the house? If there is something in there, shouldn't they know? I'm sure they're already familiar with the legends, but...
Some people might deserve it, however.
Ooh.
Deserve what, sir?
All of a sudden, the tenderness in the professor's eyes disappears, his face becoming unreadable. As though catching himself, he hastily clears his throat, gathers his books, and rises from his seat.
Professor?
I'm sorry. I just remembered something I neglected to do.
Bullshit.
You'll have to excuse me, Zachary.
All right. Do you need any help with that?
Don't let my looks fool you, son. I can still carry a few hundreds. I've been doing this for years. I'll see you some other time if you have any other questions.
Of course. It was nice knowing you, Professor.
He doesn't hear it, however. In a few short strides, he's at the library, leaving me in every piece of this whole mess amidst the oppressive stillness. Despite the answers gleaned, more questions surfaced. If there's even a single way out of this, I hope we'll find it soon. The moon was well into the night sky by the time I make it back home. My heavy treads and the sound of traffic outside echoing in my ears fills the empty room with some semblance of life. Nana would scold me if she ever heard me walking like this, but after today, I really can't give a damn about everything. The mattress creaks under my weight as I unceremoniously flop down on it, and I find myself looking at the paper under my grip. An invitation and a request to cover an event. The Wrights' housewarming party. Tomorrow evening. If only it were that easy, but it'll give you a chance to talk to her. About that thing in their house. With a sigh, I let my hand fall to the side of the bed along with the invitation. I'll think about it tomorrow, when my head ain't muddled with thoughts of a headless woman and the haunting smiles of ghosts. Belatedly, it occurs to me that the last meal I ate had been the one with Ashton. And an empty, gnawing ache makes itself known, but I can't bring myself to stand up. Today was a complete waste of time, and frankly, a disappointment. I don't like this. The lack of certainty, the disquiet, the lack of stable ground to stand on, the part where I do not know what will come tomorrow. Ever since that damn letter, everything's been thrown out of the loop. I wish everything stayed the same. Routine would have been much easier to make sense than this. Closing my eyes, I let the noise from the streets below lull me to sleep. At the very least, that's one thing that hasn't changed. Okay, now this is after the party. Okay. The melody carries into the hall long before I cross the threshold. Solemn, but gentle and soothing, a reminder of what home is. Pa's firm but meaningful gaze, Ma's wistful smiles, the warm rays filtering through the eaves at sunset, the distinct smell of wet earth and leaves after a long day's rain and our room. The room. Ma's pride and joy. A place where we were once promised several springs ago. Yet it won't stop.
No, wait! Come back! I'll be good this time! Please don't leave! Please stay!
The floorboards are cold under my feet more than it usually is. The walls are more forbidding than what I'm used to. Farther and farther, the room goes. Ma's singing ceases. And Pa... I can't hear Pa. Not above the refused clanging of the deafening roar of the gunshots, nor the screams replacing the comforting soft melodies. There's only the blinding fear. But when the light breaks... Her skin has already taken a sickly pale color, rotten in most parts, blood dripping from every open gash and lesion in her body. Bony hands grip Hana's neck like a noose, staining the skin underneath with a vibrant shade of scarlet. Nothing but malice fills the gleam in her eyes. A scream ripples through the air. My whole body feels distant. Every limb heavy with lead, unable to move at will. Not even so I can wipe the beads of sweat forming at my temple. The rasping of my breath easily fills the room in the wee hours while I force it back into a steady rhythm. There's a tightness in my chest that I can't shake off, my heart pounding against it as if it's about to burst out. Something cold has settled in my legs. The usual chill that comes and goes with the passing breeze from the window, but one strong enough to sting, shackle, and leave a frigid sensation creeping up my skin. With every struggle I make, the pressure winds firmly around my legs. Tighter, and tighter, and tighter, all until it becomes too much. My heart stops. Another draft sweeps into the room and brings with it the iron tang of blood. Thick, suffocating, filling my nose with a foul, sickening smell as I shift my gaze downwards and it slowly comes into view. Oh, no. Oh, that one's the worst one by far. If I slept under the bed, I wouldn't. No, if I slept on top of a bed, I wouldn't tonight. Nope. Mouth stretched in a hideous smile, and eyes brimming with nothing but madness. The stench of gore taints the air around me, and I can't look away. From it, her, from the terror and death that her uncanny, twisted features alone scream. I try to open my mouth, to shout, to ask for any help, but my voice has left my body altogether. All I have is the painful realization that no kind of plea will ever save me from her. And suddenly, the bed dips. Okay. No. Okay. The brutal plunge back into myself jerks me awake. There is no ear-splitting scream, no wild thrashing of limbs. Just a painful, constricting awareness that something has wound itself tightly around my neck. I waste no second pulling it, a blanket, away, but allow myself a few minutes to study my breathing before getting out of bed. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. 1 step. 2 steps. 3. But the dreams have gotten worse. Ever since 2 days ago, No longer are they the small, curious flashes that I'm used to, but vivid ones that linger. I can still feel the blood in my hands, the putrid smell of rotting flesh, the sickening crunch of bones breaking with every movement, and her cold, chilling eyes as they bore into me. I draw in one long, ragged breath, and before I know it, I'm walking out the door. Even in the waking world, it reeks. A bench in the park is far from the most private place for thoughts in Luxburn, considering the location at the heart of a bustling city. But in the early hours of the morning, it provides enough peace and quiet for any poor, problematic soul who happens to wander there. The city is just waking up, a little later than usual. But knowing what day it is, one can't fault it for being a little tardy just this once. Yet neither the pleasant morning chill nor the soft twittering of birds does anything to banish the images. Every single one has rooted itself in my head, its claws digging deep into what is no longer a safe place to hide in.
London Bridge is falling down,
No.
down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady. Take a key and lock him up, lock him up, lock him up. Take a key and lock him up, my fair lady.
Okay.
London Bridge
Okay,
is
it's just gonna repeat,
falling
cool.
down, falling down, falling
It used to be
down.
easy,
London
finding some
Bridge is
pretense of peace
falling
under the
down,
guise of sheer
my
optimism,
fair
following a
lady.
regular routine.
Take a key and
Now?
lock him up, lock him
Now
up,
I don't know what to make of
lock
it.
him up. Take a
Sometimes
key and
it's
lock
easier to
him
run,
up,
easier to
my
hide when
fair
everything's falling
lady.
apart. That way, you don't have to be the first to
London
witness it
Bridge
when
is
it does.
falling down,
It worked when things
falling
were bad with the
down,
movie, after
falling
all.
down. London Bridge
It
is
also worked when
falling
Ma and
down,
Pa were taken from
my
us.
fair lady.
Maybe it really is better if
Take
I
a
just...
key and- Hey, mister!
Hi. The tiny voice gives me a pause. When I look up, a little girl, maybe about 6 or 7, is peering at me. Two wide eyes, overflowing with what can only be the natural curiosity one typically sees in children. I vaguely note the St. Gorietti uniform she's wearing before returning her greeting.
Hey kid.
Kylie.
Kylie?
That's my name. Mama said it's rude not to call people by their names.
She then flops down on the empty space beside me. Her little legs, too short to touch the ground, swings in tune with the song she hums under her breath. I don't mind kids. Nana would often invite the ones in her old neighborhood to give them treats. Of course, by then Sis and I were both too old to play with them, but you'd get used to the commotion eventually. It's not completely as unpleasant as most people would imply. Kylie seems to be a well-behaved kid anyway.
Oh, sorry. Nice to meet you, Kylie. Is Mama here?
No, but my big brother's with me. He's taking pictures with his camera over there.
She points to the far end of the park, the one closest to the street where a kid is taking shots of something above him. It doesn't look to be birds because of all that is on the other side of the park are buildings.
I don't see what's so interesting with the tip of a building, though. I'd take pictures of dogs if I were him. They're cuter. Do you have a camera too, mister?
Yeah, I'm actually a photographer.
Mama said I'm too young to get a camera.
I'm sure your mama will eventually give you one. But won't you be late for school like this?
Big brother will get us there on time. Rowan promised Papa. We aren't going to be late. It's sports day. So it's not good if you keep looking like that today. If it ends up raining and we lose, it's your fault.
All right, I'll try not to upset the clouds today, kid.
Is it because you're sick, mister?
Oh. Before I know it, a smile has spread over my face. They say kids ask the toughest questions sometimes, and they sure do with how sincere Kylie looks. Lying feels like doing her a huge disservice.
No, not sick. Just having a very, very bad day.
Why is that? Is that like when my big brother ate all of my pudding? He did that once and then cried. It wasn't very nice of him.
Yeah, I think so. You see, there's this mean girl. She's given my friends and I a lot of trouble. Hard to keep up when things are like that, you know? Especially when you can't do anything. It's kind of scary. Makes you wish things will just stay as peaceful as they used to be.
Maybe she just wants to be friends with you?
I highly doubt that. She already hurt one of my friends.
What if she's just sad? Or maybe she just wants help. That's what happened with Melody. I let her borrow my crayon when she left hers. Now we're playmates.
It's not really the same thing, Kylie. What she did, they're pretty bad things.
I still think there's another reason. Did you try talking to her? That's what Mama said I should do.
I don't think that'll work either.
You haven't even tried yet. You sound like Rowan. You're just scared, mister.
That strikes a chord. Maybe it's the honesty in her tone, or simply the truth in the words itself. I don't know why, but I can't help it. I laugh. Loud enough to disturb an elderly couple taking a leisure walk nearby.
Why are you laughing?
That's nothing. You're a really smart kid, you know that?
That's what I've been doing, ain't it? Go full speed ahead, then backtrack when the going gets tough. Stay in my safe zone because that's what I know. Once, Dr. Navarro said I should just be the first one to deal with. I should be the first one willing to deal with my problems before anyone else. I didn't show up on our next appointment after that. But he's right. And though I hate to admit it, knowing what I've seen, but the kid makes a good point too. I've been so caught up in thinking there might not be a way out. Maybe there isn't, or maybe there is, but that doesn't mean I should just leave it up to fate. Aren't spirits supposed to be humans before too? Had people they cared about, a life they lived of their own, smiled and laughed like the rest of us does. Do they really lose all of it after death?
You better get to school, though, or you'll miss sports day. You should have won yourself some awards, alright?
Alright. Can I show it to you when I do? That can cheer people up, right?
In the distance, her brother calls for her, and I took that as a sign to leave. Got things to do, to face. The first steps, they say.
Nah, I'm good now, I think. Thanks to you. Besides, Mister needs to go. But you should show it to Mama and Papa. I'm sure they'll be proud of you, Kylie.
I will. Thanks, mister. Bye.
I give her a little pat on the head before heading my way. A small gesture of thanks from a stranger she didn't know she might have helped. She may not understand it now, even though at such a young age she already has this understanding of things, but maybe when she's older. When the world no longer seems too big for her.
But aren't you going to help me, mister?
Haha, no.
With what?
Confused, I glance back. Please no. Please no. Whatever cheer a little talk brought has vanished under the shadows suddenly dancing in my eyes. The frigid air is most definitely not how the morning chill should feel like. Bitter, stinging, unwelcoming. And the kid.
What do you think, mister? Are you going to help me?
What do you want from us?
The response never comes, however. Because when I blinked, gone.
Hello? Mister? Are you okay?
For several passing seconds, I let my stare linger on her face, waiting for any sign of another change. But all that remains there is the carefree smile of a child. None of the spite, none of the cold, bloody smile.
Nothing, huh? I really need to go, Kylie. It was nice meeting you.
See you again, mister!
How about we don't? I break into a run. I don't look back, not even as I bump into a couple of passerbys as soon as I'm out in the open, busy streets. Going insane. This is what it is. And if we don't do something soon, we all will be. Thank you! Thank you, Zach! Oh, man, I am so happy you exist. Tremors follow me even as I got home. I'd hoped a little stroll around the block for a few hours would help. Instead, I am assaulted with more images of her. Her smile, the loathing in her eyes, the stench of gore, the horrid crunch that comes with every movement she makes. Even old memories have been sullied by her, and Ma's song no longer sounds as sweet as it's meant to be. In the end, all I got is a sinking feeling that I will never be rid of her image, and another ridiculous idea that may or may not even work. The sun is already hanging low on the horizon when I make it back, and for the first time, coming home feels more like a chore. Only, I didn't arrive to an empty room, because as soon as I opened the door, I am greeted by none other than...
Sup, Z-Man?
I told you we should have called him before going here.
It's fine.
It's Ashton I see first, sitting comfortably on my couch, munching on a bag of chips with both feet propped atop the coffee table. Whatever proverbial stone has made a home in the pit of my stomach automatically flies right out the window at the sight of him. But before any exasperation can set in, my attention is taken by the other occupant in the room. Isabella perches on the only other chair in the room, attempting to make herself smaller, it seems, from how closely she's hugging her arms against her. Nevertheless, she gives me a small smile when she notices my stare. Yet somehow, there ain't any warmth in it like it's supposed to have.
Hey, Zach. Sorry we just barged in here. Ash was...
Relax. Z-Man gave me a copy of the key himself.
Only after you broke the 13th one? I can't keep replacing them every time you think it'd be a good idea to break into my apartment.
Does he not know how to lockpick?
And stop calling me Z-Man!
I didn't break anything this time.
Really?
Ash, just because I gave you a key doesn't mean you can just stroll in here whenever you want to. And, hey, is that my...
Ash smirks at me because, of course, he has the gall to smirk knowing what he did. He pops in what's very likely the last piece of chip into his mouth and folds the wrapper neatly on the table before throwing it into the nearby trash. From her chair, Isabella shoots me an apologetic smile as soon as the foil hits the waistband with a dull thunk. Common sense dictates that I should be angry. But, after everything, having something normal play out in front of me, no matter how childish their antics can get, I can't bring myself to muster even a tidbit of it. Behind me, the television starts blaring the music for the end credits of a movie. They've likely been waiting for a while if Ash has gotten impatient enough to rummage through my cupboards and watch something.
Of course he eats all of it. You know, I was saving that for the weekend. Did you at least share some with Bella?
Don't worry about it. I'm good, Zach.
Really? It's free food, you know? What was that you usually say? You don't say no to free food? What happened?
No, I'm just not hungry.
Ash only shrugs at the question in my eyes. I can't be the only one who finds the vibe she's giving off to be odd, and the guy's no doubt, the guy has no doubt caught wind of it.
Aye. But if you want something, just say so. I've got a fully restocked pantry right here at your disposal. Still not a 5-star level thing, but for an empty stomach, it'd do. Just say the word.
Thanks, Zach. Maybe next time. Food is not really what we came here for. Ash, he's the one who...
She casts a brief glance at Ash, and in an instant, he sits up. Every trace of amusement is gone from his face as he clasps his hands in front of him and leans forward. A minuscule gesture meant to ease, yet the grim expression on him tells a different story altogether.
All right, you two, what's this about? I don't like those looks. What I said was weird. I'm aware of that. But I'm not taking it back. Isabella's not the only one here who's seen it.
A short but tense pause follows. They're both stalling. Under normal circumstances, I'd wait. With these two, the more you force it, the more they'll clamp down on it. But as a handful of seconds continue to slip by, the unsettling feeling in me also grows with it. Soon, it turns into impatience. Before I can demand a response, though, one of them finally speaks up. It is Ashton who first breaks it.
I'm not asking you to. No, you're right. There really are some odd things going on here lately.
The man admits it! Call the fucking press.
How is everything with you lately, Zach?
Hold on, Ash. Both of you. Did I just hear you say that? Is this why Isabella's here? Has something happened?
Calm down, we're just here to check on things. So, did you meet Andrew about the photos?
What photographs?
Said photographs have been sitting untouched since the day I dumped them in my drawer. Isabella goes very still when I hand her the small stack. To her credit, she does not flinch like I'm expecting her to, and flips through each of it in silence. But while her eyes remain strangely calm, her hands have gone rigid and her mouth has set into a thin line. She, out of all people, understands what this means. In hindsight, she should have been the one I approached before Ash.
What did Andrew say about them?
It could be one, but there's no guarantee it's a supernatural thing. It doesn't always happen. So, that's a dead end right there. Now that I think about it, bothering that guy for this feels pretty silly now. But with the dreams lately...
That's all? Did he say anything about the damn letter at all? Did you ask him even?
I pause, glancing at him skeptically. I don't know where this sudden curiosity is coming from, but if Ashton, calm, cool, collected, always logical Ashton, takes interest in this, something or someone must have fucked shit up somewhere. Or the world is ending. Seconds pass. The apocalypse I'm expecting to go along with it doesn't arrive, however.
Yeah, that's really everything. The letter kind of slipped my mind. The photos were more important at that time. There was some stuff about the local horror stories, though. Talked about the curses, and he was really fascinated with the story about a wraith asking for a sacrifice to move on. Kinda nasty if you ask me, but it does make sense if you simply go along with it. I'm not sure how this will help in the grand scheme of things. Why are you asking about this anyway?
Rose's death isn't just a coincidence, Zach.
Thank you!
It may have something to do with... I may have...
Wait, stop right there for a sec, Bella. I thought you ain't buying this stuff, Ash. Just the other day, you said the exact same thing.
I still don't, but even Rebecca, out of all people, claims there's something.
Rebecca, wait, do I get to do her perspective later? Yes.
Whatever this is, someone has got to look into it. Everything about this screams shady.
Oh, I can't wait for Rebecca's perspective. I can't wait for Ashton's perspective. Where's Marianne in all this?
Are you sure you even have the time? Ain't you busy with your current case?
I got taken off that one.
You didn't say you were taken off your case.
I just got the news this morning. Apparently the higher-ups think I'm doing a horrendous job at it. It doesn't matter though. If these two cases are connected like I initially thought, then regardless, I'm on the right track.
Are you sure we should even be doing this?
Doing what exactly?
There's some place we'll visit after this.
Too vague for comfort, Ash. And please don't tell me you're bringing her with you.
His affirmation comes in the form of a stare, but that alone says all I need to know. What I pointed out gives him pause, though, and his voice is thick with hesitation before he addresses Isabella.
You know what? Zach's right, Isabella. You don't have to come with me.
It's not myself I'm worried about. It's you. I'll just do this myself, if it'll get you into more trouble with your superiors. At least I can make up an excuse why I need to be there.
Don't be ridiculous. You're not walking in there without me. Besides, I think it's a little too late to back out now. Have you two seen the news this morning?
I haven't, actually. Mama called, and I was busy.
The change in the air around her, while small, cannot have gone unnoticed, and it takes every willpower not to ask. Probably the only thing reining in my curiosity was the fact that Ash himself hasn't brought it up either.
No problem. It should be in the afternoon news as well.
What happened? Oh! Wait, how did you see the fucking letter? He grabs the remote and cycles through the numerous channels until he gets to a news report about another guy who's been found dead in the early hours of the morning today. Burned alive this time. Oddly, no fire has spread and whatever damage has been contained within the place the body was found. The room itself, however, has been completely vandalized. Help me. Help me. Help me. Another murder, the authorities claimed. Isabella and I knew better. None of us even shifts after the report ends, but the room is suddenly felt stifling. Ashton's eyes have gone hooded with what appears to be restrained anger, and the remote in his hand creaks mildly under his grip. The stone is back in my stomach. A tiny little thing creeping at my insides, growing with every passing second as the dread sinks in. In the thick of it, Isabella's voice is the one that breaks the hush. A small, weak thing in its own that wavers unevenly between words, but every syllable heavy with meaning.
This is because of that thing, isn't it? I did this somehow.
When it fades, all that's left in the air is her doubt and fear. While all we can do is cope. Is there something I can say to make her feel better?
It ain't too late. We could still fix this. There's 3 of us here.
Okay, cool.
4 if you count Rebecca.
No, she's staying away from this.
She lifts her gaze at me, eyes steady and shoulders squared as she holds it against the baffled look I give her. Although, in the next second, it immediately softens and takes me by surprise nevertheless. In those brief moments, it's like I faced a different person.
I don't want to involve her in this any more than I already have. Both of you as well.
Okay, Isabella, I love you, sweetheart, dear. But Becca has been claiming that there's something, which means presumably she has seen something. Zach has now seen something and admitted to seeing something. There isn't any, they can't get involved with this anymore. They are involved. It is not smart to leave them on their own. That's bad. Horror movies have depicted that. You don't split up a group. And besides, 4 brains tend to be better than 1. Unless you're doing an escape room puzzle, in which case that can get a little conflicting, but
I already said it. That's completely out of the question. Stop asking.
And then there's Ash, who I guess hasn't seen anything. I don't know what his perspective on all of this is, unless he's very deep in denial. Would you stop, game?
Still in all, that's 2 extra heads who can do the thinking. Between us 3, I'm sure we'll figure something out pretty soon.
Don't make this whole thing sound like it's a piece of cake to deal with.
It ain't. But better than sitting around, yeah? Plan is still a plan.
You're going to shoot yourself in the foot one day with that kind of thinking. We don't even know who's doing this. The last 2 murders might just be similar incidents done by 2 different suspects.
Hasn't stopped you from going after them before. Remember that time when you...
Okay, stop right there. There will be no retelling of that incident today, Z-Man. Or ever.
Keep calling me Z-Man and maybe I will.
Suddenly, Isabella laughs. Though muffled by her hands, it rings light and easy against the thick tension in the room. Still a far cry from the usual cheer she carries, but brings a welcome shift in the otherwise dreary mood.
Thanks, you two.
I'll tell you about it when he's not around.
Give it up, Z-Man. She's not interested.
Who says I'm not?
Ash makes a face but chuckles at the jest despite himself.
Why am I even friends with you two?
Oh, shut up, you're having fun. And like this, most of our worries ebb away, if only for a few moments. They take their leave mere minutes close to sundown. But regardless of the lighter mood, little has been said of their plans, only vague hints of what they're aiming to do after. Why aren't you going with them? While it ain't any of my business to know, something about this whole thing still gnaws at me. A tiny passing thought urges me to do something as well. At this hour, the streets are once again busy with people heading home after a hard day's work. Little of the bustle matters to them as they step out to the crowded walkway, however. Ash especially. There's only his goal in his mind, and I'd wager there's nothing I can do to stop him at this point. Game, I am not left-clicking. Or laptop, I'm not left-clicking. I don't know which one to blame right now. He's probably decided on it long before they made the decision to drop by. But despite this, Isabella lags behind. A worried crease is back in her forehead as she watches Ash leave to get his car.
Something wrong, Bella?
No, actually, can you check on Becca for me after this? I really didn't get the chance to tell her where I'm headed off to. Tell her I'm okay, and no, just that. That's all.
You sure I should skip on that part? If she finds out about this, she'll be angry. I don't really want to deal with angry Rebecca. It gives me a stomachache just thinking about it.
Neither do I, but I'll handle it if she gets mad. Just make sure she's safe and tell her to be careful. You too. Take care of yourself.
Almost abruptly, she pauses, the gaze in her eyes hardening as she lapses into another one of those long, distant silences from earlier. This ain't just because the whole fiasco with the letter anymore.
I don't want what happened to Rose to happen to you guys as well.
This one cut deeper. Before I can ask about it, Ashton returns, casually swinging his car keys in one hand, gestures at Isabella.
Come on, we don't have much time. Shirley's waiting.
Who's sure? Oh, right. Don't answer that. I don't want to hear it, you huge dork.
Says the person who gave her stuffed toys names. Batcat? Really?
It's cute. Yours is just weird. I'll see you later, Zach.
She spares me another smile, and as I watch her walk off, not only did it occur to me that none of those she gave me today ever reach her eyes. I make a grab for the back of Ash's parka. He staggers briefly before correcting himself and shoots me a confused stare.
Is she alright?
What? Who's okay?
Isabella. She's been, I don't know, out of it today? Did something happen earlier?
The scowl on his face says it all.
She's actually been like that this morning. I'll ask, but...
Just do me a favor and watch over her. We have no idea what we're dealing with. I don't know what happened to her since the last time I saw her, but from how she's been doing today, whatever it is, seems like a pretty big deal. Wait, you didn't annoy her again, did you? Because I swear to God, if you did, you've got another thing coming for you.
What? No, why would I? Just so you know, I already apologized for the one at the movie house. Granted, she deserved more of an apology, but I meant it that time.
He meant it that time.
I'm just asking. I'll take your word for it. But if you can find out what's bothering her, that'd be nice. Honestly, I don't think it's the letter this time.
I'll see what I can do.
Make sure you keep yourself out of harm's way, alright?
Yeah, you too. Don't do anything reckless again.
Reckless, no. But I can't make you to promise I won't do anything. After seeing that, there's no way in hell I'm going to pretend there ain't a problem when there is.
Finally we have mobilization.
This is a really big one, and I'll be damned if I let anything happen to you guys while I sit here.
Oh, Zach, you're wonderful.
I'm done running when things get tough.
He's about to argue for a moment, but...
Look, bro, if things ain't good, I'll be the first one out. But allow me this one thing, alright? Just this one time. If it doesn't work out, you'll be the first one to know. You can laugh then, or berate me all you want. But please don't ask me to step aside like I'm incapable of doing anything to help.
I've no idea if it's the look on my face or the tone of my voice. Ultimately, although his mouth presses into a thin line, he nods.
All right. Stay safe, Zach.
When he stumbles into the sidewalk and allows the afternoon crowd to swallow him whole, I'd like to think the tiny gleam in his eyes is the closest we can get to optimism in this situation. Whether that alone will be enough to give me a peaceful sleep tonight remains to be said. Okay, we're inching ever closer to Halloween! Night falls, and despite my best attempts, sleep continues to elude me. With her image still stuck in my head, flashing every few moments, it catches me off guard, with Ma's lullaby still echoing my ears, no longer the soft tune it once was. And the terrible gnawing in the pit of my stomach. It's no wonder I can't bring myself to drift off even for a little while. It's not as if there's a complete lack of things to do while waiting for sleep to come, if it ever will. And at 2:45 in the morning, I find myself cleaning my photography equipment for no other reason than just to pass time. Though, if I'm going to be honest, it's not the night terrors that are keeping me wide awake tonight, but the anxiety and the hope that I'll hear from Ash or Isabella soon. And for what's perhaps the 42nd time, I shift over to the end of the table where my phone lies still. I've not heard from either of them since I left. They haven't promised a call, of course, but a small part of me wishes they would have the common sense, at the very least. Waiting is a tough game, and with the concern stretching out minutes far longer than usual, it's impossible for more unpleasant thoughts not to enter my mind. Moreover, it does not help that when the clock finally strikes 3. Okay, hi. Okay, not sleeping with, without a light. Got it. Hate this. Love it. I mean, I love it, but like, I hate it, but, ooh, man. My hand stills. It'll be a complete and utter lie to say my heart didn't leap straight to my throat at the brief second. My whole body has gone motionless, ears straining for any further sounds. A couple of tense seconds pass. Nothing. Of course, with how old the building I'm staying in, the power fluctuating ain't anything new. Every now and then, this would happen, leaving a few tenants in a rather bad mood. Nothing unusual anymore after a few years of living here. But this time, the sudden hush brings with it a stillness that raised the hair at the back of my neck and set my heart beating hard against my chest. Something reeks in the air, and in an instant, this place is no longer home. It's a prison. Every rational fiber of my being screams at me to leave. I force myself to swallow and keep a clear head as I lay down all my cleaning tools and begin gathering together the rest of my things scattered about the table. The camera's body, lenses, filters, diffuser, phone, anything my hand could reach. But in the resulting panic, like in the nightmares, it's the scent that reaches me first. A foul, putrid smell filling my lungs with the heavy stink of death. My fingers clamp tightly to the camera, holding it close to my body, as if the tiny thing would provide enough protection for whatever is with me in the room. It won't. But it's the only comfort I have. Ah, the music with the noise. Ah, no, it's a bad combination. And knowing that whoever she is, she had once been human. Perhaps not all of it is gone. Perhaps some of it is still there.
Hello? I know you're in here. What do you want?
Something moves behind me, a soft scuttling over the walls, followed by the squelch and painful creaking of what can only be rotten flesh and broken bones. Without hesitation, I whirl around, my fingers and camera ready, patiently waiting for another movement.
I can help you. Whatever it is that keeps you here, I can help. That's what the letter's for, ain't it? You don't have to keep taking people's lives.
There's a brief moment of silence after, and for a short while, I think my pleas worked. Then, with no warning, the shuffling resumes, and along with it are the sobs of a woman. Okay, this is a quick time event, but I can't tell. Oh, that got, okay, goosebumps. Okay, hi, hi, that wasn't, that one got me really good. Ooh, okay, but hey, cool, I got an achievement of winning 4 QTEs without skipping on normal difficulty. Cool. Whew. Oh, that one really got me. The light flashes fleetingly one last time, allowing me a glimpse of her grotesque, misshapen features before it once again is lost in the darkness. All of a sudden, her tune changes. No longer a soft cry, but a high-pitched shriek brimming with pain, grief, and anger. Every ounce of courage I've mustered flees from my body and at the sound. And the next thing I know, my hand is gripping the knob and I'm wrenching the door open. Her wails follow me as I flee into the night. Pacing has always been more of Ashton's thing than mine. When I want to think, I sit and let the minutes tick by until an idea comes to mind and my pulse settles. And yet, dried leaves and twigs crack under my shoes as I make another pass at them. Terror is too mild to describe what this is. There's no way in hell I'm going back. Whatever she is, pleading won't work. The moment we saw the letter, she's been after us.
But I can't run. Not this time.
Nearly 2 hours have gone by since I left the comfort of my room for the solitude of the park. 2 excruciating hours since I've started making calls. No one's answering. Not even Rebecca, who always kept her phone line open in case other people need her. Or Isabella, who frequently checks hers for any messages and readily responds as soon as she can afford. It does not help that Ash hasn't said a word where he went off to as well.
Damn it! I knew I should have asked him before I let him leave.
Knowing him, he can be anywhere. But there's really only one place he'll likely be at this time. The sun has already peaked over the horizon when I make it to the mansion. I have no idea what I'm expecting when I got here. There's Ashton, first and foremost. Part of me wishes my assumptions are correct and he's really somewhere close by on a stakeout. But I've never been the lucky sort when it comes to that kind of guessing. And even after I've made a round of the immediate vicinity, I can find neither hide nor hair of him. Calling him does no good either, considering how awful the signal is here. He can't be too far if he's really here, But if he is, he would have already noticed me by now. Instead, there's only silence. The kind too quiet to find any sort of comfort in. Oh yeah, this is also after possession takeover thingamabobber, I guess, maybe, question mark. Even the trees seem to have fallen asleep with the rest of the mansion, oblivious to what's happening around it. A small island of stillness in the otherwise fast-paced world. No wonder the whole of Anthem feels at odds with the rest of Luxburn. While the city is alive, growing every minute, breathing every second, and pulsating with life, the village remains unmoving, unchanged. It's not surprising the legends still live up to this day, and why she's still here, walking its hallowed halls. And beyond me, the mansion looms ominously. But now ain't the time for fear. Even if Ash is not here, I've still got to let the Wrights know what I've seen, what's in their home. And whatever grievance Ash has with them doesn't matter. There might be grounds for imprisonment, but they don't deserve a brutal death at the hands of one malicious spirit. And I'm sure Isabella would want the same thing. I head straight for the door without a second thought. It takes a few rings, the sound loud above the foreboding stillness, before I hear footsteps from the other side.
God and Bennett! Only a Nancy would knock at such an ungodly hour! Where's that damn butler when I need him?
Is the butler dead?
Oh, hi, what's up, dude?
Before long, the door swings widely open with Mr. Luke Wright standing behind it. Seething would be a complete understatement to describe him. Like this, I've got no doubt why Ash would find him a suspect.
You? How the hell did you get in here? What in seven hells do you want? It's bloody 6 in the morning!
Listen, sir, I know this is not a good time.
Oh, it's not a good time! Did you even check the clock before coming here? I bet you didn't! Unlike you, the ones living in this house need to sleep. Come back when people are actually awake, or I'll call security on you.
Before I can get a word in, he slams the door in my face and bolts it shut with much finality.
Wait, sir, you gotta hear me out. You're both in danger if you stay in there. Have you seen the news lately? Everything's not a coincidence.
Only silence answers me. Maybe if it was Miss Wright. Oh, who am I kidding? There are limits to how far a person will believe you. Then again, I didn't believe Isabella when she warned us. And now I'm here, desperately trying to save people, even if I'm aware it's completely out of my own capacity to do so. Is this what they call karma? If so, this is one horrible way of turning things around. Taking people's lives, playing with people's fears, making them feel useless.
You're around, ain't you? You here? Inside this house? Listening, watching, or whatever it is that you spirits do?
I'm here. I'm everywhere.
What did they do to you? I can help you, you know? If it'll let you move on, I'll gladly do so. You don't have to kill anyone.
Nothing. I don't even know who I'm talking to, or if a sane person is supposed to be doing that. The only thing I got after is a feeling of foolishness washing over me. Or perhaps this is just me losing my mind. Out of other options and any other ideas, I let my hand slide off the door's surface and fall listlessly to my sides. I can go back to Luxburn. Try and find the others. Try and get out of this mess with them. Or let them know how much in deep shit we all are. Both sound good. Either way, my loitering here ain't helping at all. I let the quietness calm me for a few minutes before standing up and heading out to fetch my bike. It's quite a distance to Luxburn, but if I hurry, I'll reach it in maybe... The rustling stops as soon as I turn around and strain my ears for any other movement around me.
Yo, Ash, you there?
No answer. If he is here, and I've just missed him earlier... Already, my feet are moving in search for him for the second time. It wouldn't hurt to double check. Triple check, even. With how big the property is, he can be anywhere. If things ain't so urgent, they ain't so dire that lives are at stake, I'd probably have just waited for him to show up again.
But damn it! He needs to realize what exactly it is he's dealing with.
This is not just a petty criminal he can simply throw in jail. This is something beyond the authority his police badge could ever give him. This guy needs to stop playing some big damn hero. Sit down and chill. My breathing comes in short, shallow rasps by the time I make it back to where I started. Still no sign of him, and I'm beginning to think I'm wasting my time here. But That's when I hear it. I'd recognize the melody in a heartbeat. Ma's favorite song. I listen for a while, trying to gauge exactly where from the house it's coming from. My feet start moving before I can stop them. And there, as I circle a corner, from a room on the first floor, a single window is open, but I can't make out whoever's inside. It's fucking it's Hana. However, I'm sure the singing comes from there. Still, why I'll hear an old tune here of all places, I won't know. It's not an obscure song by all means, but it's pretty rare to find someone who knows this. And for some reason, death seems to follow this song around. Panic lodges itself in the base of my throat at once. Whoever's humming might be... I don't want to be the pessimist now, but on the off chance that is Miss Wright?
Shit.
I shouldn't just barge in there. I can put myself in danger before I can save anyone else. Ash will tell me so in the exact same words. Might even write me a dissertation why this is a bad idea if he ain't so lazy. But damn it, god damn it! Someone could be in danger! Go for it! I can search for Ash, but what if it's too late by then? With how big this place is, he could be anywhere, and it's very likely by the time we come back, someone's already bit the dust. That, and the cries go louder against my ear the longer I linger. Almost impossible to ignore, drawing me in like a moth to a flame. For a moment, I let myself shudder, shaking the uneasy feeling off my head. This can't be a good idea. Not by a long shot. Still, I've got to try. Funny enough, for a couple as high profile as the Wrights, they don't seem to have any security detail patrolling around. A few guards here and there, sure, but one will expect they have more considering the size of the place. It works to my advantage, though, and I can't really complain when there's a high chance I might get arrested for what I'm about to do. Luckily, the window's wide enough for me to fit through without making any noise. There's certainly no going back now. Oh, hello, ominous glow from the candlelight. It's fine. But as soon as I step into the parlor, all of it ceases, where I find no trace of the woman I heard crying like I'm expecting to. The room is still empty at this time of the morning, and I'm left standing awkwardly in the middle of the hush. Maybe she just hid somewhere?
Hello? Are you here? I heard someone earlier, and I'm here to help.
Shit. Hoping for an answer, I let the question hang in the air. But several seconds go by without a word, or the slightest movement to indicate that there's someone in here. Has been here. With the stories I've heard, the things I've seen, it takes effort to keep my brain from going into that line of thought.
I'm not going to hurt you. If you're here, say something.
Nothing. Am I just hearing things? No, I'm pretty sure I heard someone. But with no one responding, I can't help but feel silly like this. And the awareness that I've just trespassed into a house for nothing because of some voice prickles at me. Suddenly, the silence feels uncomfortable, and a needling anxiety slowly creeps up my back. I should get out while I can. If it ain't there, it ain't there. I don't spare the room another glance when I walk back the way I came. Out into the window. Leave before someone else notices.
I thought I heard a servant moving around here. Turns out it's just a rat scurrying about.
I really want to reload. But hey, you're not dead. Nope, just stick with it. Just stick with it. It's fine. It's okay. For all you know, this is the better option.
How unpleasant.
Hi. My heart shoots up into my throat. I can run. The window's a few steps away. I should be able to escape. But instead, out of some foolish impulse, I turn around. Perhaps it's because the only impression this guy has left of me in what few times we met is nothing but unsettling.
This ain't what you think it is.
You're quite the distance from the kitchen, I'm afraid. Perhaps I should lead you there.
Someone's in here before me. I wasn't here for what you're thinking. There was sobbing and...
The first blow knocks the wind out of me, sending me heaving and crumpling into my knees. Oh, you bitch. Tears well up in my eyes as the pain swells when he twists my wrist behind my back.
You've got to listen to me.
Then again, dirty thieves aren't welcome in my kitchen either.
Zach! For a moment, there's only silence, and a sudden piercing ache, this time at the back of my head. The room abruptly tilts on its axis, dimming. On the verge of unconsciousness, I can only hear the scuffling of foot and the thud of the door being closed, and a woman. Crying. Asking for help. I know no more. We're continuing on! This isn't the end! Alrighty! Did I fuck up? Is this meant to happen? Oh no. I'm sorry, Ash. The pain is the worst when I come to, a sharp piercing ache somewhere in the back of my head, begging to be noticed. But it's nothing I can't handle. Clearly, I open my eyes, expecting to be greeted by sunlight. Be at the wrong place at the wrong time. Oh no. Nope, I've committed. We are continuing on. It's just gonna be the way it's gonna be. I'm sorry, Ash. Probably disappointed you. Why did I do that? Why? However, the walls that welcome me are unfamiliar. With everything that comes into focus, I recognize the place for what it is. A cell. Dark, cramped, with the only light coming in from the moon outside, streaming through the sole window barred by thick metal bars. Memory rushes back to me in sharp bursts. The mansion, looking for Ashton, a familiar tune, and a woman crying. All while my head still aches from the hit I've received.
Still better than a morgue, I guess.
Gingerly, I pull myself up, stretching from the cramps from my shoulders as I do so, but stop when a sudden movement indicates an acute stinging pain through my arm.
Damn, they got me good. What time is it?
As expected, they've taken away everything I have in my person. Wallet, cell phone, my keys, meds, even a small pack of gum. Protocol is protocol. In the first place, ending back in another cell ain't my agenda. First time was not a pleasant experience. This certainly won't be either. Considering who has likely put me in here, it could be much worse. The bars are cold to my touch when I approach it, looking for the person on duty. They'd usually allow us to contact someone, and Ashton at least has to know I'm here. He'll be pissed, that I'm quite sure of, but he's the only one that can prove my innocence and get me out. However much I don't want to rely on him for this. The hallway in front of the cell is empty, but voices float from further in, likely the poor officers assigned to late-night duty. Judging from the snippets of conversation I catch, today's topic over a snack is that moron who thought it's wise to cross the rights. Hi, moron. They use other names too, most of which I'll likely have words with them about in the future. But really, I'm in no position now.
Excuse me? Anyone?
Silence.
Excuse me! I need to make a...
Blood freezes in my veins, and my grip on the bar tightens. I don't dare turn. Because, more than that haunting melody, I'm afraid of what I'll see. Of who's singing Ma's favorite lullaby. A death song. That's what it is now. But I guess this is what it's always been. If it's the end calling, I prefer that it is not her vicious smile that I last see.
Oh, Zach, sweetie. Don't you love this song?
Oh my god. Hi. My head snaps up in surprise as I swivel to see Miss Wright. Miss Wright of all people, sitting on the cot. Her smile is as easy and sweet as ever.
Miss Wright? What are you... how did you...
I rest at the cell door to check. A prison break is the last thing on my mind, of course, but her presence here begs for a lot of puzzling questions to be answered. Locked tight. Was I just too groggy earlier that I didn't notice her?
Don't be surprised, darling. Money and power can get you anything.
She has a point. Out of all people, she knows more than anyone how to play the game in the world. Yet to hear it straight out of her, it's like talking to a different person. I don't bring this up, however. Perhaps she's just having a bad day or a tiff with her husband. After all the incidents the other day at the party, well, I don't like gossip, but it won't be surprising. Anyone can say the strangest things when they're in a bad mood. Still, and all.
You ain't supposed to be here, Miss Wright.
Yeah, no shit.
Why ever not? Isn't it comfortable here?
Well, it is, kind of. But you're still not supposed to be on this side of the cell. Besides, it's too early. Or too late for a visit. This is beyond the scheduled hours.
Oh, I'm sure Chief Inspector Lee wouldn't mind a little chat between friends. Besides, his prison officers just snoring in the break room.
She brushes off a lock of her hair from her shoulders, stands up and meanders around the length of the cell for whatever space it would allow. As if this is just another simple stroll in the park, making a show of checking every scratch the past occupants of the room has left on its walls. Nevertheless, I try to make myself small against the corner. Any corner, and we'll be crossing each other's... any closer, and we'll be crossing each other's personal spaces. Frankly, that's more than I'm comfortable with.
Be that as it may, they have cameras here too. How are you going to explain that when they check?
That doesn't matter, dear.
It does. Your popularity ain't going to give you any kind of immunity from the law. I appreciate the visit, but I'd rather not see you get into trouble.
It makes her stop. But just as I am starting to think I finally reasoned with her...
You don't want to get out of here.
Of course I do. But you don't have to do anything. It's my fault. I'll find a way out of this mess.
You did bring it to yourself.
This really is just a misunderstanding, Hana. I didn't mean to trespass. If you'll just listen to the whole story, you'll know I didn't mean to do it.
I'm really disappointed in you.
I look straight at her, at the sudden change of her tone, checking for any signs if I've upset her with what I did. Of course she would be. She has every right to. After all the talk, the little attempts to build a friendship, here I went and broke into another person's house. Her home. On so many levels, beyond any kind of friendship, it's still wrong. Her anger doesn't come as I'm expecting it to, however. Instead, she smiles. Oh, I hate everything. Everything is bad. Everything is awful. This is great. It's fantastic. Fuck! A horrid little smile I didn't ever think I'd see from her.
Breaking into our home. Disturbing my love in his sleep.
She's gonna kill me.
You've upset my Prince Zack. You've really upset him.
Hana?
Panic swells in me, ripping up my spine. Irrational, I know. You shouldn't feel this way about anyone you know. But here I am, packing away, trying to keep ample distance between the two of us. I'm afraid. Wholly afraid of her. This ain't Hana. The bars rattle as soon as my shoulders hit it. A hindrance, not to freedom, but to safety.
Has anyone ever told you how beautiful those eyes of yours are?
Nana? Occasionally my sister. Hana? You alright?
She laughs, a deranged little thing coming from her. There's no cheer in it, no warmth, only spite.
Makes me want to take them home, wrap them in those pretty ribbons I have in my vanity. I'm pretty sure my prince would love it, don't you think, Zachary? A little gift from me.
Stay away from me!
She moves. In short, sudden bone-crunching twitches that are too painful for me to watch. I want to look away, but I can't. I'm screaming for help before I know it, jolting the bars with as much force as I could.
Somebody! Get me out of here! Anyone, please!
Bugger off! Some people are trying to get some sleep here!
No! She's here! You've gotta let me out! She's gonna kill me! Someone! She's...
Oh, you poor thing. Don't you worry. You won't even feel the pain.
What the Oh. You've unlocked a memory fragment. Okay, now we're... Oh! So, that blonde woman in that picture was, like, the lady of the house, right? I'm gonna guess I'm gonna guess our, ghosty lady is the same one that was also in the picture. And, yeah, great, fantastic. Like, the strong urge to go pick not to go inside the house is stronger than with Isabella. I'm becoming Hana. It is so strong, but I'm going to keep going with my current choices. Okay. Okay, well, anyway, that was Zach's, thing. Now we're on to Marianne. Which is fine. Oh, goodness. So now we're on the, fourth segment, Thank You, Mavamber, which is great, because I know nothing about what the fuck's going on with her. Because, other than a couple of things that she's popped up for, excuse me, she's just not doing a thing. I haven't actually, like, checked out the profiles, like, whatsoever. Okay, so the dates go all the way to November 1st. Which is fascinating. Okay. I wish I had more to say, but oh man. I hope this doesn't mean Zach is dead. But there's a good chance Zach is dead. Then again, I thought that about Isabella too. I don't know. I don't know what this game has in store for me. Anyway, I'm gonna go now. Have a good evening, night, morning, afternoon, whatever it is for you, and I'll see you next time. Later. Just...